Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to the Big Think Dimension with Dan and Bob Video Games. KZ Excellent. And Mr. Feel.
NFT? More like no freaking thanks.
Here on GigaBoots.
Completely ignoring Feel's advice many episodes of Big Think ago. I beat Star Tropics.
Now Phil has to.
No, he doesn't.
No, I don't. No, I fucking don't.
I like because afterward, Dan was worried.
Yeah, I was like, I'm worried that Feel or Vox will just go insane and be like, well, now we have to do it.
I've never there's a feeling that I get when it's like, this is too hard.
Yes.
And it's the feeling of like, no, there's no hope. I could try this any number of times, and I'm just not getting through it. Like, very few things have made me feel that way in the game. Like Orphan of Kos in Bloodborne made me feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the final boss of Sekiro made me feel that way.
Okay, so
and both of those I eventually overcame.
If I remember, you made it to either the final chapter or the chapter before that. You tried to...
I made it to the spaceship.
Okay, so you made it to the spaceship. You shut the stream down, and when you came back, the save file wasn't there, right?
Yeah, this because it uses some bullshit, weird, fucking hack together way of saving the game that no other NES game does, so it doesn't work with the Mister.
Yeah, because it uses an MM6 mapper and MMC6 mapper, and that gets confused for a 3, and that causes problems with emulators and other shit. Yeah, so here's the thing about Star Tropics. You hear all the time, Star Tropics is an NES game made by Nintendo in 1992. An NES game made by Nintendo in 1992, or maybe 93. All I know is Star Tropics 2 is 94. Here's the thing. You hear all the time, like, NES game hard, like Nintendo hard, NES hard. You hear about that. No, they're referring to games that are, really difficult, but ultimately fair. That is not Star Tropics.
There is not a single. I think I could beat any quote unquote Nintendo hard NES game. I don't think it's in me to beat Star Tropics.
Somebody in the middle of that stream looked up Nintendo hard on Wikipedia. Somehow Star Tropics is not even on the list. Star Tropics is the most bullshit fucking game when it comes to difficulty, because it already is a very difficult game, right?
Right.
If they didn't pull the shenanigans that they do, it would already be a hard game. But instead of just doing that, they legit, they made me feel like they were the original Dark Souls FromSoft designers. Where it's like, you should have known this man will jump out from that corner and stab you.
Yeah, when I checked out your stream a little bit of like, oh, I used the one that lets me see the ghost that will instantly kill me early. So now I can't see them ever.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that's what we're dealing with here.
In order to progress through this dungeon, you need to know that you need to have the wand from this room to use in this room to make a ghost appear, to kill all the ghosts, to make an alternate exit appear, to go through there. And that's not even the worst of it. This game is tile-based movement, and when you jump from one tile to the next, it takes forever. Like, you do a really high jump in midair. I entered a room with 36 tiles in it, and the floor starts falling out, and I need to find out which tile to jump on in order to open the door. There is not enough time to figure that out on your first time through. There just isn't. There's not enough time to easily figure it out on your second time through. So you have to, and this is nowhere near the checkpoint. The checkpointing in this is nightmarishly bad.
It's insane.
You have to trek through half of this fucking dungeon in order to get back to this room where it's impossible to get it on your first 2 tries. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Well, like I brought up, the most insane thing is where it's like, here's a power up for your weapon. You have to never get hit ever, and beat everything on your first life, because we don't respawn you with enough hearts to get the benefit of your power ups. And I'm like, what? If you started with like I said, every single fucking thing the game could put against you is like, do you start with full health? No, you don't. It's like Zelda. Remember Zelda? In Zelda, you start with 3 hearts. You know how if you're in full health, You can shoot a sword beam. In Star Tropics, you need to be full health for your weapon to be effective at all.
Yeah, that's because not only do you get the projectile, it also is just stronger. And there's not even one tier of this, there are two. So you need to have like, I don't know, let's say half of your full health in order to have the decent weapon. And then you need 2/3 or higher of the absolute maximum health you can have in this game to have the really good version that you'll need for the bullshit ending chapter. It's so insane. And they ramp the difficulty so hard that I can easily say Star Tropics is the hardest game I've ever played on Avenging My Youth, and I played Castlevania 3. Like, it doesn't even compare. Star Tropics 2, by the way, easier game, but they make some really fucking dumb decisions. So, like, one of the complaints everyone has upon playing Star Tropics 1 is, why is this tile-based movement that feels terrible? Why isn't it even just Zelda, right? Where you can push up, down, left, or right, and no matter where you are relative to the screen, you could just move in that direction immediately. You don't need to slot into the next tile in order to move up and down. So they fix that, but they don't fix how they design everything. So now you have to do pixel perfect jumps the whole game, or you'll just land in the water and drown and have to restart the whole fucking dungeon. And this was bad. I died to like missing a jump more than anything else in that game, including the final boss, by a million miles. It was nowhere near close. I got the final boss of the game on my second fucking try. Worth noting, the final boss of the game is a giant boss rush of every boss and then the final boss of the game. And I still got it on my second fucking try.
Wow, that really was his revenge.
For anyone who's wondering, Dan, why did you play this game? I've owned this since they came out. Like, this has literally been a part of my life the entire time Star Tropics has existed, haunting me. This game, these two games are literally the reason Avenging My Youth exists. These fucking terrible night terror barons that have lived on my shelf my entire life. It's been so awful just looking at them and going, you're just too much, man. To be fair, with Star Tropics 2, it actually wasn't the difficulty that turned me away from it, even though I played enough of 1 to realize that it probably got that hard. Because 1, you figured that out by like the 3rd chapter. Chapter 3 is the longest chapter in Star Tropics 1. It has 5 giant dungeons in it. Most chapters have 1 dungeon.
What?
Yeah, chapter 3 is just this thing of the Beck song joke of we got into a groove and forgot how to end the chapter.
God damn it.
You only need to do one thing in that chapter, but somehow it takes 6 steps. It's like, this sucks. This is real rough.
It includes that we're gonna trick you. The whole point of this level is that we trick you and keep sending you back to the start. By the way, we're ungodly brutal.
Oh yeah, no, that thing's savage. That actually is the ghost one Bob was talking about, because you go into a cemetery and they give you countless exits that are fake, and you just exit the dungeon and have to restart it.
Congratulations. You earned half a jiggy.
Yo! Stop bada.
So then Vox, while watching me do this, is just like, I'm imagining Super Star Tropics. That was just, that sent me. I'm like, I don't want to ever imagine that.
Now, there's a lot of games where somebody will go like, this game is really difficult because Japanese developers made it really difficult to combat game rentals in the West.
Yes.
The only time I have ever believed that was true after playing a game was fucking Star Tropics.
Yeah, because the interesting thing about Star Tropics is both games have really crazy DRM for an NES game. The first game comes with a physical letter you have to dip in water to read the code to solve one of the levels. God. It is impossible to beat without knowing what's on that letter. The second one has crazy anti-theft DRM checks, which wholesale stopped my playthrough. Because what happens is past chapter 5, which there are 8 chapters in that one as well, past chapter 5, it does a random 1 out of 16 data chunks it'll check to make sure they're perfectly fine and nothing's been altered. And since I used a patch that made the Mister correctly recognize, like they converted it from an MMC 6 game to an MMC 3 game, that altered the code. So I made it to chapter 5, beat it. It was fine. Went to chapter 6. I beat chapter 6. It was fine. I went to chapter 7. I beat chapter 7. I'm now back at chapter 2. And since this game is really dumb and terrible compared to the first, and it's about time travel, I thought this was the most Kino storytelling I had ever seen on the NES. And I'm like, oh, we traveled back in time to the... Why is everything the exact same dialogue-wise, too? And that's when I realized, that's when everyone starts searching the internet, and we discovered, yeah, this game has anti-theft DRM, and no one knows because no one cares about Star Tropics 2. Like, even people who love Star Tropics just are like, Star Tropics 1 is great. What do you mean there's a 2? So I had to change the entire setup for the stream. This is one of the few times we've critically had to use one of our backups. So I stopped using the Mister, pulled out our FPGA NES, pulled out my real-ass cartridge of Star Tropics 2, used the Game Genie code to get into the debug mode, used the level select to get back to Chapter 7. And this is what happens when I get there. I'm now in King Arthur's court. Because once again, Star Tropics 2 is stupid. So I'm in King Arthur's court. And I'm talking to people on the way in, and there aren't these legendary warriors you used to think of, right? It's like one guy's called something the Cowardly, right? And I talk to him, and he's just pissing and shitting his pants.
Ooh.
And then I go talk to King Arthur, and he does this epic speech about, oh, there's a dragon, and we have to defeat this, and Merlin told me you'd come, and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, will you help? And as a joke, I say no. And he goes, well, we've had enough cowards. Get out of here. And the game soft locks.
What?
So this is what happened
Nice.
after I finally get this shit running again. The first thing that happens is fucking King Arthur just goes, go fuck yourself.
Wow. Hell yeah.
Wow.
I lost it. It was the funniest fucking thing. I'm like,
Okay, bye, bitch.
this is real. All right, then. So, yeah, Star Tropics is a hell of a game. I don't recommend anyone plays it. I wish I could recommend 1, but its difficulty's too high, and 2 is stupid. when the number 1 difficulty in Star Tropics 2 is falling in a hole because they made the jumps like damn near pixel perfect. Also,
This is still a top-down game. This is still like a Zelda, but it has pixel-perfect jumps. Am I right?
and you can move diagonally, and sometimes you're required to jump diagonally. And after going through Star Tropics 1 and having your brain hard programmed to jump like it wants, yeah, it's a nightmare, man. Not gonna recommend it, but man, am I glad I avenged my youth on that shit. I'm never looking back. But that was the main game I played. But we also found a retro server for Gunbound.
Ooh.
I found this after I booted up Guns the Duel, realized there was only competitive multiplayer in that, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get anyone to play this. Then I played Guns 2, the second duel, which is no shit the name of that game. I played the co-op mode alone.
Okay. I
Yeah.
need you to answer me something.
Sure.
Is that co-op mode still weirdly in like medieval times?
No.
Okay.
I think you're thinking of Raytheon, which is a different Softnix game.
No, I could have sworn when Guns of Duel 2 first launched, it was like, yeah, it has a single player mode, or sorry, co-op mode, and you can fight these goblins.
No,
It's
you're
like,
100% thinking of Raytheon.
I thought you even had your dual Uzis against goblins, and I was like, what is happening?
If you're not thinking of Raytheon, you're thinking of some other game. Guns of Duel 2 is exactly what I remembered it being, which is imagine very low rent Lost Planet 2 levels.
Okay.
Very low rent. And this game's really cool because you get a sniper rifle, an Uzi, and a katana. And you have cool techniques, and you're supposed to work with 3 other people because they didn't balance it for one person to do this, to make it through these levels with 10 million of the same soldier who run at you. And when you get a headshot, the announcer goes insanely loud, "Headshot! Excellent!"
This sounds better than Babylon's Fall.
Oh, of course it's better. That's why in the middle of the Babylon's Fall segment, I'm like, man, this isn't as good as Guns N' Duel.
Dang.
Because that's the fucking bar, right?
Right.
The bar is really shitty Korean free-to-play shooter. If Babylon's Fall was even slightly better, then it would begin to be excusable. But then they have the audacity to be like $100 edition.
Yep.
That's fucking unreal.
Add to cart.
But yeah, Gunbound's really cool for anyone who hasn't played it. It's a Korean Worms. Like, it's a Korean knockoff of Worms where you get to hyper customize your character. You got familiars that sit on your shoulder as you sit in these cool mechs that are like animals. So you can like ride a scorpion or spider or grubs. Different shot types to blow up your enemies and drop them into the abyss. You can have Vegeta hair.
Yes, very important.
It is incredibly important. You can have Dante hair. Bob wouldn't even jump into a match with me before he went and just got the Dante hair.
It was important, okay?
It is important. That's quite essential. That's the reason why on the GigaBoots fan Discord, where we now have a role for Gunbound, the icon for that is the Dante hair.
Good.
But sometime soon, I'm hoping to do a stream of that with some friends. It was really fun. That soundtrack is still really great. It's weird knowing that guy works on sound for movies now. Apparently, because he's some Korean American over in California. I'm like, that's hilarious. Can I hire you to make me a theme song? Just make this fucking Gunbound ass music. It's so charming. Aside from that, it's not a game, but it's worth bringing up. Bob and I watched The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions
back to back.
It was don't do that either, you know.
Man,
there's one good movie there. Unfortunately, it is two movies.
There was a cool action scene where they had a metal pole that became made of rubber.
Yes. The Burly Brawl is really cool. There's a reason that the moment he pulls the pole out of the ground, they leave it on CG Keanu for like, I don't know, what was that, 40 solid seconds? They wouldn't cut back to live action because the moment really they do, it looks terrible with the wobbly pole. But yeah, no, that don't.
Yeah, that the Revolutions, it's so insane. Like, there's just a half hour straight of Zion battle that is terrible and boring and won't stop.
I like how me and Bob are like, oh, they broke into Zion. This is terrible. And then we start having a discussion of how one of the problems with the film is they don't establish, you know, Ender's Game style, the enemy's gate is down. You need to know the victory conditions for the enemies. You need to have a clear understanding of the struggle, right? So they get the ship in there, they blow the EMP, and now all the squids are dead, but there's another wave coming. And we're like, okay, another wave's coming to destroy the city. And then they go, they're going to break into Zion. And we're like, well, isn't that where they are? Wait a fucking second. And they're like, no, that's the dock, clearly. And I'm like, I don't know.
You didn't well develop this world. I'm sorry.
You ever watch Star Wars? Where they have the diagram and they show what Luke's going for? Like, God, come on, dude. Fucking give us a really good diagram and an explanation of what the stakes are and what's going on. Because quite frankly, I just, yeah.
Yeah, these movies always remind me of that old rumor of, the Wachowskis just stole a script for the first movie.
Yeah.
And I buy that completely with the way these two movies are.
Yeah, given how 2 and 3 really do the weirdest bullshit in the world to build out the lore of the Matrix. And then worse than that, the philosophy's brain dead.
Yes, where they all become just characters literally saying philosophy textbook stuff.
It was funny because during this viewing, Bob was just like, yeah, this is like Ghost of the Shell 2. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect, isn't it? What a perfect parallel. That Ghost of the Shell 1's like, I'm going to bring up deep subjects and bring some humanity to it. The Ghost of the Shell 2 is like, textbook. That's what the Matrix 2 and 3 become. Except for they don't even go that far into what the textbook thing is.
No.
Literally, they spend 2 movies straight being like, oh, the illusion is that you have any choice. You're just here to figure out the choice you already made. You can't see past any decision you don't understand. That's it. I've summarized the philosophy they don't shut the fuck up about for 2 movies straight. So what we're saying is it's not a high bar to be better than the third Matrix film. So hopefully Matrix Resurrections is better than that.
Please. That's all you need to do, man. That's it.
That's it. No one's asking you to be better than Reloaded. That freeway scene's too good.
that scene where she's falling and shooting the guns for 15 straight seconds is the funniest thing I've seen in a while.
It's really cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. But that's it from me. Hey, Bob.
Hey.
You took a break there because you weren't feeling great.
Yeah. My throat was hurting. I didn't have any other symptoms, so I wasn't like miserable.
Yeah.
but so I was still able to do stuff. So I did stuff like watching all of Little Witch Academia.
Dude, awesome.
That series is great. Everyone should go watch it. I had to go find a way to watch the 2 movies, the OVAs that released before the series happened. But yeah, really good stuff. Honestly, the worst thing in all of it is like an 8 was the parade one, which is the second OVA they did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really delightful show. Looks great. Tons of just fun in that. Other than that, I also found out that you can go places that will charge you for the COVID test.
Is that something we want to put a pay gate on? Are we sure that's a good idea?
Well, we're America, so yes.
Yeah, it's luckily Walgreens and CVS do not do that. So after going to first a medical center and then being like, yeah, you can pay your copay. I'm like, no, I won't.
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
God.
Which when you get it from Walgreens, it's weird. You shove the swab up your nose yourself.
What?
Yeah. So I had a fear of like, did I do it right? I was like, I'm still tearing up and crying. It's been an hour, so I think I did it right.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, shove it like an inch up in there. Swirl like 3 times in each nostril. I'm like,
No, this is a nightmare. Normally when I feel like this, we're talking about food.
Well, that's what I ate. I ate the COVID test.
I put cheese on it.
Well, thank you, Bob. Is it better or worse than a McRib?
It's a little better. Okay, honestly, no, it is not. I would eat a McRib any day over that. Like I said, I was crying for like an hour.
Yeah, if you handed me a mildly moist but edible sponge and said, eat this or I'll make you stab your brain, yeah, I'd do it.
Yeah, you got to make sure to put in that in our best food of the year.
But I did play video games as well.
Oh, thank God. I thought it was going to be more horror stories, but the cool video games. What do you got?
Solar Ash, a game I was very excited about.
Oh, cool.
Me too.
There's been a lot of exciting trailers for that, and I'm excited to hear your take on this glorious looking game.
Yeah, actually, it first showed up in the initial PS5 show.
Yes.
It was hot.
Yeah.
It was very hype. I was very excited. And then after Big Think 2 weeks ago, you booted it.
Yeah.
And I started getting really worried.
Yeah.
Say, Bob, how's that game?
As for people who don't know, this is made by the guys who did Hyper Light Drifter. It's got really cool art. It's a 3D platforming adventure game. It feels really bad.
Okay.
You hold the left trigger to float around skating. It doesn't feel great. You have a dash button on the R2 button. You cannot dash in midair. It doesn't feel good to move around, and all you do in this game is look around big empty environments with basically nothing in them.
That's like the worst possible version of like the Hyper Light Drifter devs make a 3D game would be, because I'm already wasn't super high on Hyper Light Drifter.
Yeah, it was mostly
like
static.
It's like, this looks really pretty, but the fact that there's so many respawning combat rooms and that your progression seems to mostly be, I run against the barrier of every zone until I find what hidden paths you made so I can get plot progression, is not great. So this 100% tracks.
Yeah, this is really dire. It feels like they want to make a Shadow of the Colossus game, because each zone is like a really large empty area, and then you find the 3 things in it, which are 3 different weird little time trial things where you hit a button, or you hit 3 targets, and then you hit a big eye, and that closes the eye there and opens it on this big monster. And the whole point is to awaken the big monster in each area so you can kill it. Fighting the big monster is, once again, using these floaty controls to run around on top of the big monster, doing a time trial style puzzle where you hit different buttons on it so you can attack it.
Yeah, so imagine a really long serpent. In the case of the one I saw, I'll just describe that.
Go for it.
And it has like spines that are buttons along it, and you need to hit that to keep it from doing a full body wave attack, like instantly turning volatile and hurting you. You have to go fast enough along the serpent body and hitting those to make it all the way to the head to hit it once, and then do this again, and then do this again.
Yep.
And it does not control well enough where that concept could be fun. It
This
very
is-
clearly is not optimized for that.
No, and the first 2 bosses are a serpent boss like that even. And then all of them are basically the same, except they aren't serpent shaped after that.
Okay, well, at least they didn't do that. Ugh.
You never get new moves. So what you the moves you start with, which feel like almost nothing. Like I said, you have a speed up button, a jump button. You get a double jump, and that's it. It does not feel satisfying to do any of these. Oh right, you also have your grappling hook that only works at very specific points.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's only for going to targets, and not all targets, just only the ones that it works on. Their progression system is insane because they're like, well, you're collecting all these little orbs around the area, so you have to be able to spend that on something. You can spend to upgrade your armor, so you can get a new point of armor, take an extra hit. You lose a point of armor every time you beat a boss, so you're just always fighting against the losing that.
Wait, you lose a point of armor every time you defeat a boss completely?
Yeah, it's just gone for good until you buy it again.
What?
Yeah, it's insane. It's like, why would anyone design this? Not that even the armor points matter much. Like, you die, you lose your health completely, you respawn at the same checkpoint, but all the enemies in the area respawn, but that's not even a big issue because fighting enemies in the world really isn't even worth noting. It's so simple. You have a attack button, and there's no variety to your attacks. There's nothing that the enemies can do that's really a threat. So them respawning wasn't a big deal. And usually it's like, I'm respawning to fight this boss, but the boss doesn't reset phases even. So it's like, I took out 2 of the boss's health points out of 3. If he fully killed me, he's still on his last health point. So it literally doesn't matter. It just is like, how did you design it this bad? Like, why would anyone do this?
Yeah. This is all really unfortunate.
Yeah, this is super upsetting. This game looks nice, and that is it.
Yeah, no, it's really got a cool aesthetic and cool designs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited watching that first trailer. I don't think I've been as disappointed because you know Infinite had trouble development.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like we were coming in expecting Halo 3.
No.
I have not been so disappointed by a game in so long. Because I just watched you do that sequence, and I'm like, none of this is what it should be?
Yeah, and it's so bad because it's not only the open worlds like feel like this, have the super floaty controls and stuff. You also have story. And story is so bad.
Yeah.
And just the way they structure it even.
Right.
Like, the story itself, not great, but the higher concept's kind of neat. You play as a character who is trying to save their world from a black hole that's approaching it. It's like a super black hole because their society has advanced so much that they can control regular black holes, but this is a Super Saiyan black hole.
Oh,
No,
man.
the dead zone.
So they send in this device to shut it, and the whole conceit is, okay, you need to fix the device by beating these monsters. But every single time you beat a boss, you sit down and talk to someone with a dialogue tree that's just saying nonsense.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if every time throughout the entire game you do a boss and then they hand you a brick and just say, eat this brick of story.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Sometimes you walk a bit after being the boss, other times you don't. And they're just like, here it is. Here's your brick of story.
That's rough. I watched you get that first brick, and I could feel you disassociating because I had disassociated at least a minute before that.
Yeah, it's none of it's well written or interesting at all. Then you also have walk and talk segments where, okay, I'm overselling it. You walk slowly in this section for no reason. There's no talking even.
Oh.
Yeah,
it's like Fury.
Jesus.
I didn't play enough Fury to see that part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's between every single boss. Like, they even give you a button to hold down to automatically do it because it lasts like 10 minutes each time.
I'm trying to remember what Fury is.
Fury
Yeah,
is
that's the action game where you're like
shmup-like action game because it has
the
bullet hell.
shmup-like action guy has like bullet hell element.
Oh,
You're
Fury,
like,
yeah.
You're like Fury. Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
That thing that was also a smattering disappointing.
Yeah, I forgot how to pronounce it. I'm like, surely it isn't furry.
No, you're right. I was joking.
Yeah, Bob's just been calling it that since launch, and I'm like, God damn it. Is it F-U-R-I?
Yes.
Foodie?
Yes.
Okay.
You're so cruel, Bob.
Foodie. Got it.
Yeah, it is. This game does remind me of that, but that game's probably better.
Oh, yeah, that game was better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game's like mechanically really great, or at least solid.
Yeah, which, man.
You also get radio logs, which you'd think would make sense for...
You know what was neat about Hyperlight Drifter? That you got very rare scenes that you didn't know what the fuck was going on because it was entirely alien to you.
And it
you
looked
could sort
really
of suss
fucking
out.
cool.
Yeah.
You could sort of suss out maybe what was happening, but you didn't really know.
Yeah, and this just yells it at you 100 times and expects you to think it's novel each time. So you can't even lock or like glide around the Florida area while listening to your audio log. You stop in place and listen to the audio log.
So it's fair to say you were very disappointed by this game because you thought Hyperlight was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I never ended up finishing it, but I enjoyed it mostly.
I mean, it would have been easier to enjoy if 60 frames per second was there at launch.
Yeah,
It's
being
very-
30 at launch was rough.
Yeah, it didn't feel the best. It was cool when they updated it to add 60, but then the hype had died down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we played a chunk at 30.
Yeah.
And we tried to play it again at 60, but the enthusiasm of playing through the segments that are already respawning the combat rooms
Yeah.
again. Yeah. Man, that sucks.
Yep. There's also this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This universe has furry characters, but
Okay.
it's highly serious.
Okay.
Please, when I find an audio log from one guy repeatedly who's a furry, do not put pause in his name.
Wait, P-A-W-S pause?
Yeah. It's like something like Snazzleberry. It's like,
Yo, what's up, Snufflepaw?
I've witnessed the end of this world 700 times, and it's like, dude, you end every message with "I'm Danderpaws." I don't want to listen to you.
Man, Kusala Magoopa Goop, it's really sad that you saw the abyss and it saw also into you.
Great googly moogly.
Holy shit. You got me.
This wasn't crowdfunded, right?
No,
this came out of nowhere.
Usually when that sort of thing is in a game, it's like, okay, this was a Kickstarter game and some furry money headed themselves into it.
no,
Right.
This is a butter dragon.
This is instead insane.
Okay.
Danderpaw.
Yep.
Fluffy butt pit Danderpaws.
See, that's
meow.
basically their name. Yes.
Okay, that's great. I'm man. You didn't even tell me that off air.
Yeah, I know.
I had to hold this one.
You really
saved the
blindsided us all.
bomb.
Holy shit.
Trojan horse this furry shit.
That's not.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I found the name. I found the exact name. What is wrong with you? I like, why would you name a character in your serious game Tarragon Nectarpaw?
Oh god, there's the other insane thing where half the story, like halfway through, you meet these people who've turned themselves into trees and become ascended to godhood by doing it.
Cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
Every time you meet one, they're like, "Oh, you're disgusting, defiler of life. I hate you. I would never talk to you." Okay, I'll now answer your question. Now, never talk to me again, you disgusting filth monster. It's like, okay, I can accept you writing this once. You've written it 5 times.
I mean, that was basically Trump's relationship with the press towards the end there.
I mean, that's the thing in the Fallout 4 Nuka Land DLC, where it's like you can bring the evil, if you're an evil character, you can bring the evil raiders back to the Capital Wasteland, or not the Capital Wasteland, the fucking Commonwealth is what it's called in Fallout 4. And one of your party members who is like, his whole thing is, I am trying to rebuild a government so people can be safe. It's like, I can't believe you brought all these raiders. I'll still work with you for the plot, so we don't have to change the plot at all. But beyond that, we're done.
That dude sucks.
You know how you bring up Fallout, a game where there's 100 possibilities of things that happen. This is a game where there's one possibility and you wrote the stupidest.
That's man. This is really unfortunate.
And it's really dire. Should I spoil something? Do you think people would be upset if I spoiled something?
I'm gonna go ahead and say, hey, if you are still excited for this game, which whatever, maybe you are. I hope. Which Bob, you haven't brought up. It's $30.
40. This is 40. You shouldn't buy this. You should wait till it's at least 15.
Yeah, please respect yourself a little bit and wait till it's cheaper because based on that,
It's also like 5.5 hours. If you're thinking, oh yeah, I'll get a lot of play out of this, no, absolutely not.
So what we're saying is for the next 2 minutes, maybe skip 2 minutes ahead. Bob's gonna spoil this game because the rest of us don't give a shit. Okay.
The end of this game has a morality choice.
Okay, what is it?
It has two. You have this god being who has been talking to the old game. Mm-hmm. She's like, "Do not do the thing you're about to do. That will cause time to reset and you to redo all of this." So you get the option to do that thing or not. It's like you've given me no reason not to believe this character. There's no reason that they would be lying about this. They are the only thing that actually could know anything.
I just want a game to end with use the nail gun on your foot. Is don't, that'll hurt. And then you're just like, but I can select yes.
Yeah, that just drove me crazy. It's like, why would you even make this a choice?
Morality systems are very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bob, for giving us the down low on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, this is sad. This is like if Bugsnax just came out to be fucking terrible.
Right?
That's how I feel because this was the second half. Like it was the perfect counterpart to Bugsnax.
Right. This was the other exciting indie game for me. Like Bugsnax, Stray, in this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like Bugsnax is a very different. Like it's charming and heartfelt, and then this was supposed to be cool and harsh and alien, right? And have good gameplay. Like it's a fucking game.
I assumed that there would be some sort of focus on fighting because they made Hyperlight. I thought there was going to be some cool action element to this.
I thought it was going to be platforming levels, like really intricate. Because the trailer, the first one they show off, shows a lot of cool like movement through the environment.
Right.
It's not from everything I've seen. It's really focused on bad boss fights and not great platforming. But anyway, we should.
Yes.
Yeah, Annapurna knows how to pick them in terms of publishing games.
Luckily, I played some good games this week.
Oh, that's good.
I played Death's Door. This game, I believe, hit Game Pass and already left because it's done by Devolver Digital, and they're like, no, we need to get out and make sure we make money off of this.
Yeah, it did that, and then the week after, like 12 minutes, it did the exact same thing of we're leaving Game Pass and going to a place where you can buy it.
This game is a top-down Zelda-inspired adventure game. So classic Link to the Past style.
2D or 3D graphics?
3D graphics, 2D gameplay.
Okay.
A lot like the 3DS Zelda game. What was that?
Link Between
Worlds. Yeah, where you get the full analog movement on your character. You don't not like 8-directional. Or
okay,
weird.
Cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it feels cool.
That's what I was hoping for in that remake of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's one of the best parts of Link Between Worlds for me, personally.
Me too. That made it feel like the best feeling top-down Zelda game. Easily, in my opinion.
Yes. I can easily sign up for that, yeah.
So that's
cool.
That feels kind of like that. You get a 3-hit combo with your main weapon. Mm-hmm. It has some Dark Souls inspirations in the world because it's like you play as this crow who's a reaper of souls. So you've been assigned to go collect this soul, and you're in this world that's like soul collection doesn't work right anymore, and beings are living for hundreds of years. But it's also comical. It feels kind of like a Majora's Mask sort of. We have a decent comedy edge to us where we still can do serious stuff, but then it can be really funny. So that's very enjoyable. And it feels like there's some early version of this game that would have been awful and Dark Soulsian. Because the checkpoints are fairly far apart. You don't have healing things like the Estus Flask or anything, but you don't have any punishment for dying. You just go back to the checkpoint. You keep all your souls because you're still earning souls.
Uh-huh.
And then you just, the punishment is you have to do that part of the level again, like a normal video game.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was going to ask, what did you play this on?
I played it on PS5.
Okay.
Because it is out on there. It's on PC and Xbox as well.
Yeah. Does it run pretty well?
Yeah, PS5 seems to run great. I feel like it hitches maybe once in a while, but it's nothing at all gameplay interfering. Like, it's not that level. It just feels like maybe once in exploring the entire dungeon, it'll hitch once.
Okay, cool.
And this was also reminding me of the structure of there's no map, which is a little weird, which I assume is something else that they got Dark Souls from. Of like, hey, this world, you have to learn it and know where everything is yourself. But it feels more like a Skyward Sword, where everything is just dungeon. So there isn't like a true overworld so much. Everything feels like, okay, I'm fighting through this.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat. I enjoyed Skyward Sword for that. I need to go through it again and make sure I can still stand by that.
I have to ask something real quick, and I'm not sure if you have the answer, and if you don't, I'll look it up.
Okay.
Is this made by the same people who made Titan Souls?
Yes. It even has...
Man.
You got Titan Souls free if you bought it early.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because it was like Devolver Digital's here, and they're like, hey, by the way, if you pre-order on PS5, you get Titan Souls for free, or PS4, either. And that's just weird, because Titan Souls is a 30 frames per second, 2D, very lo-fi game.
Yes.
And this game is very, very nice looking 3D.
Right? Yeah, they clearly got some new people in.
And money.
Thanks,
Devolver.
This is the best game I've played published by Devolver.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I end up being disappointed by basically every Devolver game I play. So it doesn't say a lot, but I actually did enjoy this all the way through.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, Devolver Digital, didn't they publish Hotline Miami?
Yeah. I like Hotline Miami. I like this more. But that's more like...
Man.
More my thing.
I try to look up Devolver Digital, okay? I type Devolver into Google, and then it auto completes to Devolver Digital. I hit enter thinking it's going to do that.
Okay.
I accidentally just Googled the word Devolver, and Google, I shit you not, pops up with Spanish, meaning give back. I was like, thank you?
Sure.
But yeah, I think my favorite game from them would probably be The Messenger until this.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, this game's really neat.
It's not Fall Guys? Fall Guys isn't your favorite?
No, it's not.
Huh. Shock.
There's some really neat stuff. Like, there's like 3 main bosses you're killing throughout the game. And each time you're going through their dungeon, they will come and taunt you. And my favorite one so far has been the Frog King. I say so far, but I've beaten this game. I 100% completed it.
Oh, okay.
The Frog King, literally... He's a billionaire. He just keeps coming at, or like popping out of walls in the sewer and being like, "What are you mad at me for? I'm just thriving in your system." He's lived hundreds of years.
That's really good.
You have a bard who follows you around, and they do that kind of cute thing from earlier Zelda games where there'll be a song playing but no lyrics, and you read the lyrics they sing, and it matches up, and it's like, this is good. If the only real thing I have is like, I wish it was longer. It's around 9 hours, which isn't that short, but the way they structure it makes it feel like you did the first part of Link to the Past, and then it was over.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
But there's some good, there's really good dungeon design and stuff. If you're gonna try and 100% this game, every time you see a flower pot, put a plant in it.
Gotcha.
The hardest thing to do is trying to find all of those later, because the plants are your way of healing without like going to a checkpoint. So there's a bunch of potted plants or pots for plants all around the world. And I was being conservative with my seeds because you only get so many seeds for those pots. So I'm like, well, I don't need it now. I shouldn't use it. No, I should have just used it and been like, well, I can make it. which I shouldn't have been because they start giving you so many seeds that you feel like you could easily fill everything, but I was still paranoid. But yeah, that game's really cool. I'm very glad that I picked it up. I'm excited for whatever these guys do next.
Yeah, I need to check this out. This actually looks really, really good. I enjoyed Titan Souls, but it being 30 frames per second, kind of chunky, and honestly dropped frames from there even.
Yeah, and it's only boss fights in that.
Yes. I thought it was really neat, though.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed that. This is such a massive upgrade.
Yeah, it's crazy they even made by the same people at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good boss designs, good dungeon designs. The only problem I've had with the combat is once you get the hook shot, after you hooked onto an enemy, you have to keep holding the analog stick in the direction of that enemy to keep hitting them, because otherwise you will turn around backwards and hit the wrong direction, which is really weird.
I think that's kind of funny.
I played a few more things.
Okay.
I picked up Lost Judgment, tried some of that. Seems cool. Snake Style is easily my favorite style in that game.
Yeah.
That's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
No question.
The sneaking segments are really bad, and they keep doing them.
It's fine. There are fewer of those than there are trailing segments in the first game.
Okay, Bob, I have a really, really important question.
What's up?
You remember London and Metal Gear Solid 4?
Yeah.
Are they that bad?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck no!
Okay.
You were supposed to say no!
Okay. They're bad.
They're just really simple.
Yeah, they're
and usually brain dead.
right.
Okay.
They're usually they're really easy bad instead of that where it's like spotted you're dead.
It's like we built an entire level out of bad arbitrary rules that have been introduced now.
Yes.
They
it's not
literally are like, go to this glowing spot. Now, you can't move from this glowing spot until you throw a coin here to distract a guy to move to the next glowing spot.
Yeah, it feels hardly playable. It's just like a time waster.
Yeah, it literally is just we added some flavor to this to break things up. Some of these aren't even designed as like a stealth thing. They're like, here's a building you'd normally be running through punching a guy, but for this segment you're sneaking around.
Yeah.
Yakuza games like doing that, like the chases in Lost Judgment might as well be a QTE because you have no actual impact on them.
Yeah.
You can fail if you deliberately run into things, but it's like you can't end them early by being good. They end when they're scripted to end.
Which is unfortunate because they trick you, because they'll have something like you're in the school doing a chase and there's a soccer ball on the ground and you can kick it and it hits the dude in the back of the head.
It's really funny if you're actually good at them, because there's a point where you get a little bit too close to them and it's like, no, I am now moving 4 times faster than my animations indicate.
I'm gonna break the sound barrier real quick.
But yeah, I'm having a really hard time playing it because it feels more like watching a movie than actually playing something. There's so much, like, this game, it does not balance gameplay and sit down watch thing at all.
No, it's a Yakuza game.
It's like
it opens up a bit a little ways in, and then at the end again, it closes back into being mostly cutscenes.
Maybe 2 was different, because I remember playing a game when I was playing Sure 2, but that was back on the PS2.
Yeah, that was
a long
15
time
years ago.
But yeah, it's just, please, I don't want, and when I play your game, I want to just fight guys. I don't want to do these bad modes you make.
So yeah, they like those modes. So they're always going to be there, probably.
They unfortunately abandoned the greatest mechanic from Judgment 1, where you keep collecting keys and you have a large key ring, and they're like, to open your office, pick the right key. Scroll through the keys right now.
I was worried you were going to say you take no pictures of cats in this. Because you took pictures of cats, or you spotted cats, and
you do not spot cats in this, but there is an entire cat mechanic.
Yes.
Okay, what's the cat mechanic?
There are stray cats around town, and there's a side quest where the point is literally just, hey, I'm a food reviewer. I want to try the Phantom Ramen stall, but the only way to get to it is if a cat takes you there.
Yeah!
That's pretty funny.
You have to walk up to these stray cats and feed and play with them, and the way it always works is you have to name them, and it's just like pick 3 choices. And whenever you walk up to them, one of the 3 cats in that cluster will walk up, and you have to remember what you named it, or else it scratches you and you take damage.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, both Judgments really love cats.
Good.
But yeah, I think the story is really neat. I wish that they would balance this a little bit.
It opens up. It opens up after a little bit, and then once after a while,
I'm like 3 or 5 hours in. It's so long.
Are you out of the school yet?
No.
Once you're out of the school, it opens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you 10 minutes from where you are, Bob? No? Well, it opens up then, believe me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so maybe I'll try and keep going through it. I like a lot of things in here, but oh man, please. And the only other thing I played, I checked out Granblue Versus again because we got a big update.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that update's out.
Sadly, the update did not include netcode, so I won't be looking at it.
Yeah, it did not do that. It did include a new character called Luna Lu, who is a random select character, kind of like a weapon master.
Yeah.
But you don't change between each round. You change just when you start, or for the whole match.
Oh, that's a little bit less neat, but okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's really neat because she's like an artist who I guess can manifest these characters by drawing them.
Oh.
So she just stands in the background the whole time for the whole match. And if it's two men fighting, she just starts going crazy. Like she goes fangirl in the background.
Oh, Let's go. That's incredible. It's giving me Elfelt vibes.
Yeah. So that's really neat. This game still loads longer than any other fighting game.
Yeah. Give me a PS5 version. I'll buy it again. Please. I just want to go through the campaign mode and not spend half of my time loading.
Right?
That's all I want.
Yeah, just make a PS5 version and also put in rollback. You said you wanted to, Psy Games. You said it.
You have infinite money, Side Games, do it.
You're clearly going to support this game for longer, so you might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally put out a fill this survey with characters you want in the next couple seasons.
Yeah, we got a full news story on it later. So I didn't get to play the other two characters that came out. I didn't want to buy them.
Someone at Side Games is like, who the fuck's Elfelt?
And they're like, why did they get three? Why did they get 3 responses when everybody else got 750,000?
Yeah, I saw those 2 new characters, which looked like Crazy Bitch and that one dude, even more of a cryptid.
Yeah, there's like a super powered version of a dude who's already in the game, and then that crazy lady.
Because he's that
horny
guy,
man.
Yeah, he's that guy that's so popular that he's barely in the main story of that mobile game, but he's in everything else.
Yeah, the week that you could like get him as a summon, I think they made like $15 million in a weekend.
Yeah. People be horny.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah, usually it's not for a guy though. That's usually
That survey also does include writing in the favorite your crossover you want to have happen. So of course I wrote in Bleach.
I forget what I wrote. I might have written Code Geass because they've done that one already.
I will lose my mind.
In the mobile game.
I just need Bleach characters in this Arctis style somewhere. That it's a shame that they didn't get one and DNF did.
It is really bizarre, but that DNF game looks really good. Thank you, Eddie.
Hey, we have no idea. We have no idea what Namco Bandai could have on the plate.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and
especially since Bleach is coming back next year.
Right?
Perfect time.
But I'm done. I'm sorry that took so long. But
that was a lot of different games.
Yeah,
yes.
We need to cover a lot of games. The year's almost up.
Some of them were really bad. Others were really good.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice balance to this. Just like my news document until, as we all know, Bobby Kotick found Android 17 and 18.
I've been wondering what the fuck that news thing's going to be about.
Yeah, I have no idea what that
for a tweet.
No! I spent the whole week thinking that was
dare
real.
you?
I just forgot to delete it out. I literally screen capped for the tweet and then I fell asleep.
I spent this entire week going, what the fuck does this mean? Do they have breast milk? What the fuck is this going to be about?
Bobby Kotick ate 2 teenage interns and gained their power. KZ, what did you play?
All right, I played two things this week. The first one was all of Halo Infinite's campaign. I kind of tuned out some of what Dan talked about last time because I was going to play it and it kind of blended in together forever. I'm afraid to listen to it now because it's probably all correct, and I absolutely do not want to hear that again. First up in the highlights, I enjoyed the first and second level of Halo Infinite.
Yes,
it's a cool linear level. There's some parts with like gravity and like because you're going on to like the space installation, and parts are like breaking off and they're floating a little bit. I thought that was neat. The gunplay immediately feels like really solid. So it feels good, especially coming off multiplayer, to actually shoot and deal with actual enemies that are faster to kill, and there's a decent range of stuff, and I was enjoying myself. The stream's 11 hours long, and I'm progressively just slowly turning into a raisin as I realize that I think this game sucks overall, but you hear me go, no, I can't do it. We can't go into that range yet. And then you hit a part where they're like, there's going to be 2 bosses. They're just going to be right here. And they start killing me, and I'm like, this fucking sucks. and then the game kind of stays like that throughout until I finish it and go, this was really bad. They in fact only have 2 levels in this game. I've seen some people go like, whatever, they're all meant to look like that because of the location. I'm like, you can make up whatever you want. You don't have to.
Master Chief, the Banished have holed up inside that abandoned office building that we bought from the Unreal Assets store.
Chief, everybody knows that the Halo can only have buildings that look the exact same throughout the entire campaign.
God.
Yeah,
I didn't talk about it, but I tried to play it. I did.
You said you got 3
you have
hours
to wait
in?
so you can do it next time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get to talk about it ever again, but
Yeah.
I was going to say the controls are really responsive.
Oh, yeah, incredibly responsive controls. It feels good. The grappling hook feels extra satisfying now that you're using against actual enemies. They clearly knew how fun it was that they placed explosive cubes all over the map, and boy, does it feel good to grapple hook to get one into your hand and throw it on a clump of enemies.
And thank God, because there are boss fights where that's the boss fight.
Yeah, that in fact sometimes is the boss fight, either by shooting them when they're near it or just grabbing one and throwing it at their head.
Yeah, which is fun. I like playing as Donkey Kong.
Yes.
God, could you imagine if the soundtrack just went full Donkey Kong?
Yeah, so I bet someone's gonna make that edit. Someone's gonna make that happen. There's in the multiplayer, you had all those moves. You have the drop shield that can take on enemy fire. You have the pulse, so you can see where enemies are, that type of thing. You got the grapple hook. You got the air dash. When it comes down to it, the only thing anyone's going to care about is that grappling hook. And the fact that you have to do some random magic with the D-pad to be able to swap between them sucks. And I don't think I ever truly learned it because you also use the D-pad to swap grenade types. And the fact that your main progression in this is leveling up those different skills, you're only ever going to want to use the grappling hook because that's the one. That is the ability I want to use. I don't care about the dash or the drop shield thing. I just kind of want to whip around and shoot people. I feel like, and given how much they pushed the grappling hook in marketing and putting it in the intro cutscene in what kind of felt like a very tacky way, I feel like you should have had grappling hook and then another thing on another button that cycles between the rest of them, because they're way too situational compared to the grappling hook that is useful all the time.
Yeah.
Also, the upgrades for the grappling hook were pretty satisfying, where almost immediately it's like, it electrocutes people now. So it stuns them. And then it's like, if you hold melee, you're doing, I guess it was in Halo 5, this power bomb, like slam shockwave that the final version of it one-shots brutes and launches them across the map and shatters their armor into pieces. And it feels amazing. So the back half of that game is just me spamming that over and over again. Also, the cooldown can be cut by 40%. So you'll find hexagon mountains on the map, and I'm just mashing out the hook, and I can just climb infinitely like that. They did not, in fact, they want you to be able to just cheese climbing that way, which I thought that was nice. But yeah, all the levels are really boring. And when Dan said that you just go around areas and just grab batteries because they have no idea how to design a level, I thought it was just him being hyperbolic and mean. No, this fucking shit sucks. It's bad. To the point where the game gives up toward the end. They're like, do it again. And I'm like, oh, great. This is going to take 10 minutes as they take me all around the map. And they're like, no, it's 10 feet away. It's 10 feet away and enemies don't even spawn. And I'm like, is this a joke? God, even the part where I was like, oh, okay, I'm fighting this cool, unique boss enemy encounter. That's cool. They reuse it later and I wanted to die. I was like, you couldn't even let me have this. And it's worse now. It's like infinitely worse than the first time. So now I'm just unhappy because this is yet another game where you died. You have to hear every single quip again.
It's never going to be as funny as it was in Halo 1, though. Because they would always set up Cortana to say a really low energy lore line right before the elite or whatever would just blow you up. So you would always hear Cortana go, "That's weird, Chief. It appears they're doing this." Like Malo had that happen 3 times in a row. We just had to hear that fucking voice clip.
Yeah, I face rolled on this boss 15 times, so I had this I had the weapon say something that I was like, I took my headphones off in the last winning attempt because I could not handle hearing it again.
And I'm just thinking about like GTA 5, where they have like 10 different things they could say at the beginning of a mission, or when you fail.
Yeah, they had foresight.
Yeah, I feel like none of the other Halos had them say stuff in the middle of boss fights, so that may have solved that there.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, the open world doesn't work at all. I think about every single time you try to capture a camp or a guarded thing in a Ubisoft open world game, they've designed a zone with buildings in it. Enemies are patrolling in different areas. Some are on the outside, some are on the inside. You have alarms, so maybe you want to go in and not get their attention. This is Halo. Anyone who notices you, they all notice you, and it kind of just feels really unnatural, and it doesn't really change the game state at all. FOBs are your main base that you attack things in, and it just feels like they drag and dropped like 5 guys on top and just went, that we'll call it a day. These maps are mainly flat, so it feels like you're not really working your way through an interior and outside and sneaking in different directions. It just feels like it's one fight and then it's over. And it doesn't really feel well thought out from an encounter standpoint compared to contemporary open world games. And you clear those out and then you hit one button and then they're done, and then that's a fast travel point. But then you hit what I assume those would be the harder thing in the game, but instead they have the bases where it's like, we have oil tankers and we're fixing up pelicans inside this building. And that's the more designed thing. And those seem wrong in the fact that you can clear them without killing all of the enemies. But the way this game works is the enemies will always be alerted to you. Most open world games have have the ability for you to hide and then everything's done and the enemies will stop looking for you eventually. This doesn't happen. So there were plenty of times that I cleared a mission. They go, mission complete. And then you run out and then I'm shot to death because literally every enemy has converged upon this point. And then the checkpoint loads me to before I finish it. So I run to turn it in and then do that and then run out and then die. And then the weapon has once again told me some quirky line or some funny quip about how we did it 7 or 8 times because I've continued to fail to escape the fucking zone because they're like, we're not going to make it so the enemies despawn when you've literally cleared out the thing, so there's no reason for them to be here anymore. You'll play Far Cry 6, you blow up all the billboards and you fucking blow up the alarm and you take them out and it's like, okay, they're erased from history now. Now your people live here now.
Mm-hmm.
But here, you don't really get any of that, so it just kind of feels wrong. The checkpointing system is the worst I played in easily the last 10 years in any video game. Because I'll play it, and they're like, we're going to checkpoint you here. I am now locked inside an enclosed space with 3 people shooting me. So I load the checkpoint, and my shields immediately are erased. And it doesn't even extend to, oh, this is just something that happens in the open world. I hit one of the last bosses in the entire game, and it opens with a fade-in of my shields being gone. Because they are facing me directly, shooting me with a machine gun. So it feels like even the stuff where it's like, maybe they designed this less. They designed all of it wrong in terms of like checkpointing, where I was kind of confused at what they considered a checkpointable spot. Where here it's like, we think you're safe.
The game's like, oh, joy, a checkpointable moment.
Yeah, you would think it would be after you clear out enemies, or even in the open world, I thought it would be like, we're going to checkpoint you after you finished an objective. Mm-hmm. They're like, no, it's I don't know. You haven't been shot in the last 7 seconds, and we haven't checkpointed you in 2 minutes. I guess we'll throw it here instead of a moment based on the game's progress, as if the game's progress doesn't matter. They do it sometimes, but it's for like main linear missions and stuff when they run out of game. Also, the open world's like tremendously terrible and unfinished in a way I've never experienced. Even Square Enix doesn't know how to make an open world game, but they clearly understood distinct regions and going back to the open world to clear things and stuff. The fact that you cannot replay older missions is insane, because they'll open them up saying, you're about to enter the pronoun. And in the pronoun, there's a skull you could find. And if you don't find it your first time, you got to wait until their patch comes out with New Game Plus.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you lost your chance.
That's unreal.
Or make a new game. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy.
It is, yeah.
It's the same level as Kakarot.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I know very little about a Halo story, but even from that standpoint, the story was really bad and boring. It might have one of the worst villains I've experienced in a game in a very long time. He's so fucking boring. It's really, really, really rough.
Yeah, last week I said he's literally as bad as everyone immediately assumed at E3, and that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, there's a part in the game where they're like, we need you to go to multiple points on the map, and every single one except for the last one, you do a thing, and then a hologram appears, and then he just mugs at the camera for 1 straight minute.
It's me again.
And then you hit the last one, and he doesn't do it, and they're like, it's funny, he didn't do it this time. And I'm like, I want to fucking die. Because I wanted to avoid having to talk to anyone after hitting this button.
Mm-hmm.
And you've ensured that we have to talk about the lack of talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to like this. I didn't at all. I gave it like a 5 on my thread where I like score everything I played through. This was really tremendously disappointing because I love open world trash and I think Halo gameplay is fun. And you somehow failed both because that gameplay cannot carry the overwhelmingly abysmal like enemy and like design of these levels and everything. It's just not done.
Yeah. I was going to bring this up here because you and I had a conversation off podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
And the fact we both agreed on it is the only reason I wanted to bring this up. We both talked about how they design a lot of areas in the open world where it's very intentional that you can't bring a warthog or you can't bring your party or anything else there.
Yeah.
Like they'll put a giant crevice in the ground so that way you can't jump a warthog there. So you haven't really played many open world games where it's like, no, you can't bring anything. Jump in here with the 2 guns you're holding.
Yeah, I was really confused about this because I play most things that come out just because out of genuine curiosity. I have some contacts for coverage, so it makes it at least doable.
Mm-hmm.
When I see an open world game, it's usually a region, and then the other ones are either level gated or locked off for some plot reason.
Right.
With Halo Infinite, the way it's like little chunks and stuff, it doesn't really have that. You're going through areas and they put so many obstacles in it that it just feels like there's no real way to do. I kept seeing people going to like, you have so many options. And I'm like, you really don't. You have less than, I would say, even older open world games do. Because with those, the combat systems that they make, even if they're like a really milquetoast Ubisoft thing, you have options for stealth, you have gadgets, you have your physical attacks. I feel like you have significantly less of that here because it's just Halo combat. There's a lot less depth that exists within it because it doesn't have the systems of you're sneaking and trying to get through without setting off an alarm, or you're going in guns blazing with this, or you're co-oping with someone else. I can't even imagine co-op in this. I have no idea how they're going to do it at all.
They don't either, which is why they said the earliest they could get that done is May.
Yeah. And then 3 months later, they'll get Forge done. Sure. But just everything about it, just as someone who's played these open world games a decent bit, just feels like they didn't look at any of them, and all they thought was, they're big and there's things you do on the map.
Yeah.
And the map just doesn't feel natural. I feel natural progression when I'm going through like Yara in Far Cry 6, or I feel a progression in Final Fantasy 15 of going from lead to Disguise to Clane in that, where it's like, all right, I've hit this next region. It looks different in some way. There are different enemies. There's different wildlife. There's really nothing here except for hexagons. that last region, some of the regions later in Halo Infinite are really rough because they put giant crevices where you cannot get anywhere. And it's like, to get across this gap, you either need to hope a ghost is flying in the air that you can grapple hook. If it can reach it, it's really rough. Or you go completely around and it's going to take you 6 times longer to get over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, or I guess you unlock a pelican through the FOBs, but it's so uninteresting trying to unlock and do things in this.
Yeah.
I can get some really good brain damage off an open world game of, I'm gonna hit this, I'm gonna hit this. Early in an open world game, I'll 100% things until about 25% in, then I give up. I couldn't even get to that point on this at all.
Yeah, same.
Which was really, really unfortunate. Granted, some of it could have been incentivized by me knowing you can beat it in 8 hours, but I feel like even then I started trying to do optional stuff, but it kept breaking. Like, the foundation was not working, so I stopped.
Yeah, I also was trying to do the usual thing I do in open worlds of 100%ing early on. And, to each their own, but it didn't seem very fun. Like, it didn't seem very fun, and so much of the game's homogenous,
Yes.
Like, that's the number one word I'm going to use to describe the entirety of Halo Infinite from now on is homogenous.
Homogeneous.
Because so much of it is the same thing. Like Halo 1 is a rush game, so is Halo 2, but they have diversity in biomes in places you are and times of day, and Infinite really doesn't.
This has less diversity than Doom 2016, and I think that's the worst part of Doom 2016 is it has very little diversity and
it's all red.
Yeah, it's not even comparable. The chasm's so wide between even these two.
Yeah, it's Mars, it's the inside interiors of the UAC, and it's Hell. And that's still one more.
Yeah, because they have like a Hellforge factory inside of Mars where you're doing the platforming and shit. And even that adds just enough diversity.
Yeah, and later on, the UAC starts getting more fucked up, so it has some stuff here. Here, it's like, we've added a little bit more color later in the game to a couple of things to the tile set of interiors, where I was like, there's some gold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, I was really bummed out because I'm like, I can enjoy a good open world game, but they really feel like people give Ubisoft a lot of shit for how they design their things, but I'm like, there were ideas here and they acted upon literally everything they do with their thing. Here, it feels like a quarter step, and that is what makes it the most disappointing for me. Because as good as that gunplay feels, it's not like Destiny. So it's not holding me that hard in terms of like really solid gunplay, where that's like the peak if I'm playing on a console. But yeah, that was really disappointing. That's all I really wanted to say about it.
Okay.
The other game I played was one of my stream goals. I played Resident Evil Revelations, the remaster of Revelitans, the game that came out on Nintendo 3DS. I guess this came out after Resident Evil 6 based on timelines.
Yes.
This is the game that story takes place between 4 and 5. It includes Jill and Chris.
And a sandwich.
Yes, a sandwich and a bunch of additional characters. This game opens up, you're on a boat. You're on like some cruise liner of some ship. You're exploring it as Jill. You're like, there's some goo stuff. And there's like, it's like some underwater like zombie monster attacks you. They have like these weird like gooey tongues. You're like shooting the enemy. And then it cuts and they go, let us show you what happened in 2005 in a location called Terra Grigia. And it's like, those memes about futuristic cities that people do where society would be better if one small thing changed? Mm-hmm. They made a city that looks like that. And they're like, this city was the site of some stuff, but then like some BOW stuff happened, and then we used our satellite solar cannon laser to nuke the entire town. Now it's sunk into the bottom of the deep.
Oh, that's cool. So we got like an Atlantis. All right.
Yeah. They went in. This is that era at Resident Evil where they're like, it's all insane military operations and bioweapon shit, and it's going insane with some science fiction-y aspects on it.
Yeah, try not to spoil everything because I do intend to play this.
Okay. All right. So that's just the intro. And they set it up. There's like 2 or 3 groups of people. You actually jump between groups. It's episodic, like Revelations 2. This one doesn't really make sense for it, but I guess
that's really weird because it released on the 3DS. I thought that was something they made up for Revelations 2, where they could do a release structure like that.
I guess the logic is it's a portable game, So they're like, you do a chunk of this overall. There's like little chunks, and after you do a few of them, the episode ends, and then they go, last time on Resident Evil Revelations, and they do in fact air you a previously on this section like it's a prestige television show on like AMC or something.
God, Alone in the Dark did that, and it was so tacky and bad.
Yeah, it does this. And there's like over a dozen episodes. It's crazy. Yeah, this is the 7th gen video game on the 3DS that has now been blown up onto last gen.
I remember how proud they were to have done that.
That is very impressive because this stuff on a 3DS is amazing. It's like one step down from like stuff from, I would say 5. I wouldn't say 6 because 6s were ludicrous. Like was like, what are you? Whoa,
right?
You're throwing a lot of sequences. But yeah, third-person shooter. It feels like Resident Evil 4, but slower. I feel like your movement's just a bit worse, and your aiming's a bit worse in that.
You don't have kung fu moves, right?
Okay, so when an enemy gets staggered, in Resident Evil 4, you'll do like a cool move. Everyone has one move they can do. Jill is like, I think it was like a kick, or hers might have been a punch, because you cycle between characters. You can press the button to do it, or you can hold it, and they do a wind-up. And then it does the exact same animation, but it does a little bit more damage if you hold it.
Okay.
And do the wind up.
Yeah, because think of Revelations 2, that's just gone.
Yeah. Wow. So you're clearing through like one of the main locations is like a boat, so they get to like do some like aquatic based like BOW things that you're fighting through and stuff like that. They have a dodge mechanic in this game where if the enemy's coming at you, you either need to hit up and A, I was playing on Xbox, up and A or down and A, and you'll dodge in that direction if you do it properly. This does not feel good. This does not really feel that good. The only reason you're going to do up is if you want to dodge through them, because you kind of walk a few steps with your dodge to like get past certain things. They also have a Metroid Prime scanning mechanic. You activate the scan mode, and then you get like a percentage up on it. Use this in areas because some items exist but will only exist and be interactable if you scan the area to find a little node. This can be anything from handgun bullets to key items if you're specifically searching for something. But you can scan enemies and you'll get 20%, 15%, 5%. When you hit 100%, they give you an herb. So it becomes this thing of you're like, I really need another healing item. I'm gonna scan the enemy and I'm going to take damage because they got too close while I'm trying to scan them to get a healing item. So it just kind of feels really weird.
That is strange.
You basically have no inventory system, and your healing is on a button. It just automatically does it. It just does a pulse on the screen, getting rid of the vignetting if you've taken a lot of damage. The story is absolutely insane. I played the first 30 minutes, and there's clearly a dude that they just ripped off from Columbo in it, and that is really funny. Does the Japanese people really like Columbo? And
Hell yeah, they do.
And they literally put him in this down to the mannerisms.
That society they showed earlier in the game was society if everyone loved Columbo.
Yes, absolutely. But we just can't have that. But yeah, overall, I'd say it was a below average, my entire experience for it. The story is crazy, but the actual gameplay doesn't feel necessarily that great. You can check the map, though, and that's a good way to like see objectives and stuff. And it doesn't really have puzzles or anything. It's just kind of gunning for the stuff that you would get from Resident Evil 5 or 6. By the end, I was like, okay, I can tap out. I bet if I played this on 3DS, I would think more highly of it. It has the worst final boss in the entire series. Everything about major enemy encounters in this are insane damage sponges to where you're like, why is it still going? Why is it still going? And the last boss is like 9 minutes. And I face rolled on that multiple times, and we're like, we're suffering out here, guys. Mainly because it was a boss that was so advanced the camera couldn't find it. They're like, this boss is going to do a mechanic where you have to pick between a couple of things. I can't see the other one. It's directly behind me. It's on the side. It's real rough. So yeah, I was pretty miserable at the very end of it. But aside from that, it was like passable. If you're jonesing for the specific Resident Evil style of gameplay and the amazing style of story that that era of Resident Evil has for you, I mean, it's got it. It cleaned up pretty well. I'd say it's like biggest strike against it is the lack of variety in asset reuse. But then I said on stream, I mean, it has more than Halo Infinite. It doesn't have to reuse nearly as much, I guess. So I guess in that way, it's winning a little bit. Also, some characters are aggressively ugly in that. I was like, God, they really went for it with some of these 7th gen men that they got in here. But yeah, that was my experience with that. Without digging too much into its later plot stuff and whatnot. I'll be playing Revelations 2 by the time this is out, so I'll have closed that loop as well on weird spin-offs that they made. I'm excited for that one. That wasn't designed to be on a 3DS. It's designed for a Vita. I respect a Vita. But aside from that, yeah, that's all I played this week.
Okay. Feel?
I finished Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
I quite enjoyed it. Has bad boss fight.
Yeah, it
like
does.
the Western, like we've reached the point where Western developers can make an action game that isn't just a shooter, because they've always been relatively good at shooters. We've reached the point where they can make a game that isn't just a shooter that doesn't make me feel gross when I move in it. But when it comes to boss fights, it's still, oh no, I will now cast barrier and summon my guys. like, come on.
You see,
Is that
Come
every boss
on.
fight? I need to know.
Yes.
Oh, come
Not that transparent, but it is always, here's the phase where you can hit me. Now here's the phase where ads come in and you have to dodge things. And there's no way to speed up this phase. It just goes as long as it goes.
I will say there's a couple of them where the spectacle thing is going well, but I remember the one you were specifically outlining where it's just a dude with barrier that I remember going, this is bad. It's why I never mentioned it on Big Thing, because I'm like, it's a fucking Western AAA boss fight. So my brain kind of just went, yeah, par for the course.
Yeah, it definitely has that. I really hope they make another one of these. I think if they increased the scope slightly, let's not go crazy. But if they just made it on the level of like Mass Effect, where it's like, here's 4 places, just go to them in whatever order you want. You have some bigger goal, and therefore there are things at these places that let you achieve that goal. Because I really like all the characters, and I think all the performances are really good. I'm really glad that Mass Effect did so much damage to the gaming industry. Because it's just like, wow, it's really great that the characters can interact with each other because they know who you have with you at all times, because it's everyone.
Oh, yeah, that is a good point.
And it's like, wow, it's good that they can have the characters react to stuff that's happening because they know what will happen, because it isn't up to the player. So yeah, I recommend it. It's like on sale constantly now, because apparently I've heard that it didn't sell as well as they'd hoped, probably because of Avengers.
I was just gonna say because it's a Square Enix game.
They advertised this one pretty heavily, and it's a Marvel thing, so I have to assume that it's like people got scared by Avengers.
I mean, certainly I was.
Right.
Which is a shame, because this is what everybody wanted with Avengers.
Right.
I would say this game is pretty close to being as good as Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's a linear action game and not an open world thing, but like in terms of the writing and the characterization and how it looks, even like it's up there. And it includes a fucking peanut butter and chocolate line that I am now hyper aware of, thanks to Dan pointing them out in game.
Yes.
No problem. You're welcome.
Is that voice actor in there?
Yuri Lowenthal?
Yeah.
No. It's like, this is like all people who have never done voice acting before.
Okay.
Pretty, as far as I know, and they all do a really good job.
God damn.
I also just sat down and chugged all that was left of Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker.
That's good.
As KZ said, I'm so full of closure. Yum.
Yeah. We're all plump.
I will say that the things Final Fantasy 14 is able to do with its characters, due to there just being so much of it, like there's basically 5 or 6 games worth of content, is like really incredible. And their characters are so well characterized and nuanced. Like they go through arcs, and then they go through arcs after the arc they went through that feeds back into the original arc. So they feel very much like actual people. And it is this point that I'm going to bully BioWare again and be like, wow, it's sure glad you gave up that possibility in the Mass Effect series so you could put on the box, decide who live or dies.
Yeah, I saw this in tweet form when you were like, insert cruel joke about BioWare here. God.
And it's like, I will forgive I will stop. If BioWare's with Mass Effect 4 is just like, you don't get to decide shit, I'll just start clapping. It's like, we have dialogue options. They don't really matter, but you can decide whether you want to be like nice guy Shepard or dickhead Shepard. And sometimes you can hit up the shoulder button to punch someone. And I'm like, okay, that's enough for me. Let the characters talk to each other and have a relationship like with each other beyond just me.
No.
I think most players just want flavor. I don't think they want
like,
this alternate route where it's the exact same thing but worse.
See it with I forgive them a little bit because it's like they basically built themselves a new audience with Mass Effect that they had never had before. And then it's like, well, we made these Dungeons and Dragons RPGs. I guess we'll keep the same structure, and then blew themselves up. So it's like, I'm sure that most people who are fans of Mass Effect, if you told them like, yeah, you don't get to decide who you take on missions or who lives or dies, but all the characters will talk like twice as much and have way more dialogue with each other and react to things happening in the story in unique ways. Because now they can account for that as developers. I think almost every Mass Effect fan would take that trade-off.
Yeah, it's one of those things that sounds cool to be able to adjust, but people don't think about how that actually affects their literal playthrough.
And you can't actually adjust.
Right.
Like everything in Mass Effect is so shallow. And when it isn't shallow in a game, people bitch. Like in The Witcher 2, there's a decision at the end of the first act that decides which second act you get. And people didn't really like that. It's like, what, I gotta play the game twice to see everything? I'm like, that's what they thought you wanted because you said it was. But yeah, I'm really astounded with just how great it was. Because with something like this, there's always the fear that they fuck up at the end. And no matter how good something is, if you botch the landing, you lose like 4 points.
What a good jumping off point from stopping talking about Mass Effect.
I thought you were going to say Halo.
I was just thinking how Game of Thrones was erased from history.
Yeah, it's like that.
It's like no one will ever talk about this free trial ever again, Bob.
That's what would have happened. Like, part of the reason that I still am probably nicer to Final Fantasy 15 than I should be is that it mostly sticks its landing as much as all the other problems it has. Yeah. Like, mostly lands fine. And this landed perfect. There wasn't anything fucked up.
They didn't even do that weird thing where you land, but you kind of like it's like 1 foot first or anything. It's kind of like they did a superhero slam into the ground.
Wait, did you say that the 15 stuck the landing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 15 stuck the landing, emotionally at least.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not going to say much more of it because we're going to do that spoiler cast. I also started playing Flynn, Son of Crimson, which came out a while ago. I think like September? Or maybe it came out more recently and it had like something else. Yeah, no, it came out in September. I just hadn't played it till now. Since I bought it, it has apparently gone down as its default price by $5 because it was $25 initially, and now it's $20, and it's on sale right now. This game's really neat. It's free on Game Pass, but you should buy it anyway since it's only $20 now, and that's the price I can recommend. It's like a slightly more linear version of Momodora.
Ooh.
Like it looks, I'll just find a screenshot and post it. Like it looks very visually similar to Momodora and also has like really great music by a composer who seemingly hasn't done anything. And I'm like, wow, this composer's really great for someone who never fucking composed a game before. Where are you, screenshot? So you can see why I pointed out it being Momodora.
Oh yeah.
But it's like you have the same sort of dodge roll and ranged attack and everything. So it's very similar. But instead of being like a Metroidvania, you just have like a Super Mario World map.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like Odalis in the sense that some of these levels have shit you can find that's hidden away or has like a door that's locked and you have to come back later. which I guess is a Super Mario thing because it's like find the key and take it to the keyhole and get a different route on the map.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like pretty nice. Presentation wise, it looks nice. It feels pretty good to control. No complaints there. It has an upgrade system that doesn't annoy me because it's like, wow, these are mostly useful, and I get something for all the crystals I'm collecting. So yeah, like nothing but positivity on that. Did I play anything else? I watched a bunch of Family Guy cutaway compilations.
Oh, God damn it!
If Dan talked about how you shouldn't watch the second and third Matrix movies, I should talk about sometimes on Twitter, sometimes on Twitter, a really stupid person, usually who works for some website as a writer, will post some because this happens like every couple months, where they will post some variant of, I think society really started going downhill when South Park came out. It taught people to be cruel. That happens constantly. If you said that about Family Guy, I wouldn't be able to argue with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because every joke is basically Peter Griffin staring in the camera and saying a slur.
I hope this bit we didn't offend anyone. Stares. A minute of your life passes.
One of the jokes is, I'm not joking, it's like Lois has to go to her virginity coach, and the virginity coach is like, Lois, say no. And she goes, no, but says it like a woman obviously saying yes.
Oh.
It's like, oh no, don't. And I'm like, wow, you really.
That's
That's every single joke. Or the joke is a really unsettling gore spot that they made unbelievably gruesome for no reason. Because that's the joke.
You know, the thing I was going to say with your theory, right, of if you said that about Family Guy, you wouldn't be able to argue it. They had just as much influence as Joss Whedon did on writing styles for so many series.
Yeah.
So the impact of Family Guy was massive. So that's why I was going to agree with that. Yeah, no, that's entirely possible, unfortunately.
But that's it. That's all I got. That means it's time.
For Podlords.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Fuck.
Fuck. The Podlords. Podlords such as E. Lee Broyles. A wonderful Podoru. What the fuck is this face? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this Podoru's face? What the fuck is this? What a second. What is this? What am I looking at? What is this Podoru's face? Oh, it's George Bailey.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's really hard to see when it's that small. Let me just zoom in there. He's coming for you. Corey Brown, Red Blaze 27, Juicifrost, the insufferable troglodyte, Suzushiro, Emperor Zero, Shibuya Gato, protesting the parade of Podorus, Hashire Soryo, Danny Richardson,
yeah.
Rado, 101 Shades of Wonderful, remastered. Still, Gary of Light.
Oh, okay, good.
Too many teeth.
He can't have less.
He's got to chew up all this closure.
Ugh.
WTF Spider-Man. Mr. I like spam. I knew Endwalker was going to be successful, but not so successful that they have to halt the sale of the game to new players. DFW 3K. The New World server experience.
Come on.
Really unfortunate these two MMO podlers are next to each other.
I thought you were going to say it's really unfortunate that New World had to exist in the same quantum area of time.
That's assumed.
Kaze no Yoni.
Oh my god.
Kristen. Hashire Soryo Kazunoyu ni Tsukimihara wo Tanburu Tanberu.
Oh no! Look at it.
Yeah.
Nice hair.
Yes, very nice. That must have taken a while to do. God Hand Steam Deck Edition. Santi Kunai. Even Bernie Wiseman is a better Christmas icon. His Zaku 2 Kai has an inflatable Santa loaded with explosives. That's great. Kyle Bjork.
I was expecting a Potter.
Byokaru.
Zilter. Tsukimihara. Whoa.
Wow.
Wow. Iron Aggro. Bligda Blue. Schligda's Poo. Undefeated of the North Pole, Santa Asia.
Yes!
Yeah. He's going down the chimney. Launch me, Domode.
Get married.
Get so merry, you go, Mary. Monster Hunter, Rising and Raiden. Padoru, Operation Christmas Fiddler was a success. Next year will be grander. Jordan. Cooper Tank. Each Gigaboy takes a 20-minute nap every 8 hours. It refreshes us, and that's why Gigaboys can stream much longer than humans. POV. You didn't get Moment of Valor on your last party member in Darkest Dungeon.
Oh no!
That's a really good face.
That's really rough.
My, Captain Video Games. I hope I did the math right, because it's Christmas time soon. Enjoy the bleach filler.
It will always be bleach filler.
I'd enjoy it if you showed up to your shift.
God.
Okay, thank God. I was like, who's this guy's name again? Joker.
Hazama.
No!
BN12. Drive type cam. Fluffy around and find out. Indigo Sykes. Hashire Soryo Kaze no ni Tsukimihara wo Padaru. December so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Wake me up. Anyway, Evil Lucario. Clutchins. A raccoon that just wants to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
It's a cute sweater.
Face app smile.
My grandmother once said the sun is wonderful. It can even make the dirt shine. Lamu. Aspiring Bamani ambassador Shinji16 wants to remind you that you matter, you are valid, and you deserve to be happy. Still recovering from the Actibliz breast milk story.
It's
unreal. Shoot this, export that. Maria Kondenzavna Eve just wants to play Blaze Blue for God's sake. And Virmvarm, thank you very much to our podlords.
Thank you.
Podlords.
Thank you, Podlord. And if you'd like to become a Podlord, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gbpodcast. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to many benefits such as early access to Chugging Bleach and Mondo Cool, our 2 anime review podcasts, extended armchair dev pitches and gamer premonitions for when those shows force us to leave ideas on the cutting room floor, and a Patreon exclusive show, 1 per month, where you get to vote on a good or bad thing that we have to watch and then talk about. That's patreon.com/gbpodcast. And if you don't have any money, you can always help us by telling your friends. And if you don't have any friends, you can join a sports club at school and possibly undergo some sort of like youth adventure and then tell those people, your new lifelong friends, about our podcast network.
Yeah, that's you should check that out, maybe.
Okay.
You can also tell your rivals who you defeat and form camaraderie with in your adventure about us.
Yeah, make sure to credit us for what changed you as a person, made you able to win.
Okay.
That's patreon.com/gbpodcast. We got some news.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a shotgun and just start blasting. You can become a Stalker 2 metahuman via NFTs because everything sucks. Except
Except
now
you
you
can't.
can't. Yeah! This was incredible because they did a second tweet doubling down on this idea. They're like, guys, don't you understand the skeezy fucking terrible scammy fucking shit we're doing is for the best because we need money to make our game. And then everyone blew them up again. And then they said, we're sorry.
Don't you get it? We have to rub ourselves in slime. It's the only way.
It's just, we're sorry. Stop hitting us. We're sorry.
It's so insane. We're going to move right along.
Oh, okay, cool.
After reports in July about Sony having terrible relationships with indies, talking like it's impossible to get them to answer simple fucking questions. Nobody knows how to get on for a sale for anything. No one can do a launch sale and all these other things. Indies have now confirmed Sony's done some serious work to repair their relationships with indies. For example, they make it more clear now who the publishers need to talk to specifically for different things. They reduce the complexities behind the scene. They also promise to give all of their active publishing partners and developing partners access to better game sales, engagement, promotion analytics, and all sorts of other things, as well as improved discoverability. They even talk specifically to the people who reported in July how bad it was to begin with. And those people followed up with, no, they are legitimately fixing it.
That's great.
I'm shocked.
Awesome. Yeah, right. I don't expect this.
I am shocked. This is like, wow, you maybe that Spartacus thing will not be embarrassing.
Who knows?
That'd be nice, right?
Different department, who knows?
Right, exactly. That's how I feel on that.
The stuff comes from the top. We could always hope there was some getting a clue at the top that trickles down.
You know, you're right. I'm optimistic about things. It'll be great.
Yeah, it sounds like from what some of the people talking to the journalists who discovered this, that they're repairing this. It sounds like maybe these initiatives were trying to get pushed through behind the scenes to improve things, but the upper management didn't give a shit until a really bad press cycle happened. And I'm like, once again, guys.
Bullying companies works.
Exactly.
Always very important. Never feel bad. They are not people.
They're not people.
They're literally not people. Even legally, we consider them not people, but horrible entities that have a mental problem that make them ruthlessly pursue profit.
Yeah, they're basically the legal equivalent of a vampire, and we're all just okay with this.
They're sanctioned vampires. It's fine.
It's fucking weird. But yeah, no, it absolutely works. And don't listen to any game journalist who ever says that nothing is getting done by complaining.
There's no, like, Halo Infinite's multiplayer still wouldn't have Slayer if people didn't complain.
Exactly. So I'd like to add the addendum of people who locked the subreddit are cowards and traitors. We're going to move on, though. KZ?
Yes.
You have a funny picture in your news. You get to go next.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Final Fantasy XIV server issues continue. The worst issue they've had is a 2002 error where you'll wait in a queue and they're like, there's your 500 people in front of you. And then it'll just error out and then it'll close the game. And then
that was the part that was made me that makes.
And if you're on PC, that means you got to like type your password in again. And you have to hit play. Thank God on console they just autofill. And then you have to queue in, and hopefully it clicks through, and then you're back in your place in line. But sometimes if you take too long, you can't you have to babysit it the whole time.
Yeah, you have to babysit a long queue, which is probably was the worst part of it.
Yeah, because otherwise I could wait. They found out that's a bug from 1.0. Just in there, and they've identified it, and they're gonna take care of it. I think that's
it will be fixed on Thursday on the 21st is when they're fixing it. Is the 21st?
Yeah, I think that's funny. When they said this is gonna wrap up their entire story arc, I did not know it included even features within the game, but apparently it did. They're giving us a couple of weeks of additional free time. You can't buy this game anymore. They've done that. They're also pulling all advertisements they physically can, advertising their own game, and you cannot redeem the free trial at all because they just need to be able to get the servers under control. They literally are in fact suffering from success, DJ Colin, because they're just at that point where it's like, no, we can't do it.
Like we don't want to let somebody buy the game, and then it's like, no, you can't actually play it. So we're just gonna not let you buy it for a little while until
I feel like this
is up.
This happened last time they did expansion, right?
No.
I could have sworn they stopped sales of
Nope.
the game.
There was a moment this year in which they ran out of codes to redeem, which
That
was
was funny.
Okay.
It was literally, we're out of codes. What?
Yes, that happened during
it's
the big
never-
WoW Exodus that happened earlier this year.
It's never been this bad for any game where it's like this isn't a technical problem that can be fixed. It's like Square Enix going to people and being like, we will pay you 5 times market rate for this hardware. And it's like, it doesn't exist.
They were looking into trying to advance their servers in 2020 and failed, and they've continued to try. And shortages on stuff means there literally is no server. There's nothing they can get, no matter how hard they try. So people were like, a few months ago they should have tried and got it. They've been trying for longer. It's just there's nothing they could do. The only way
Also, they didn't expect for Blizzard to shit their pants so hard that their player base doubled in the span of 6 months.
Yeah, the only thing they could have done is just add servers 4 years ago when they didn't necessarily need it at all.
Right.
So
Luckily, most people who play Final Fantasy XIV are story players primarily. So it's already bleeding off as people are starting to get in, being able to get in and finish the story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting to unfuck itself, and I will be surprised if they're still not selling the game by the end of the year, by the first.
yeah, it's still funny because they're releasing new content in a week because as they always promise, the 0.01 comes out where they introduce the first raid tier because they do a staggered release for that stuff. But we'll see how that turns out. My next piece of news, Aniplex is acquiring Delightworks game business.
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, there's the guys who make the Fate game. So I think that makes sense because that's a huge money site for them. So why don't they own the developer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently Delightworks was also in charge of the Sakura Wars mobile game that did incredibly badly. So everyone who knows about the mobile games thing is I imagine there were 10 conversations of how that never happens again because apparently it fucked them a decent chunk to where they're, wait a minute, how did it go that bad?
We had this guy named Keiji Inafune come work on this one.
No, actually, apparently Hideo Baba of fucking up Tails was involved.
I knew it was one of those.
You're
one of the insane.
I rewrote the whole game twice so I could harass voice actors I liked.
Cool.
Thank you.
I will now go back to not being in the industry anymore. Goodbye.
My final words, nice ass, fades away.
Good riddance. Didn't Ono join Delightworks? Is that right? Or did he join some other company? The Street Fighter guy.
Yeah, I think he's there, maybe.
Okay,
he is the president and COO of Delightworks.
I was waiting for his tweet of I'm so excited that I have now improved Aniplex.
I wonder how long before he is no longer the president and CEO of Delightworks, because usually acquisitions like this involves people like that changing positions.
Yes, usually.
And he has nothing to his name at that point because it hasn't been any time. It's been a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, after years of people going, why haven't they made one of those? Fucking Ubisoft just said they're making a Splinter Cell remake. A week or two ago, insiders already said it was going to be an open world game. So I'm already oh fuck.
I have no faith anything.
Yeah,
Ubisoft announces is going to launch.
They're in the middle of their massive NFT push. Mm-hmm. Every single game they have announced
burning down from sexual predation claims, and burning down from hostile work environment claims, and burning down from we're indebted to Singapore and can't get out claims.
Don't remind me of Skull and Bones.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's they're apparently Beyond Good and Evil 2 is just doomed.
Yeah.
So it's I don't believe you when you're here's our new Buck Wild open world game. I'm I don't trust you until I see a gameplay trailer. It isn't real.
Yeah, the thought that they announced this on a random weekday instead of at a big conference to type people up, it's What's happening? Is there blood in the water?
Yeah.
I feel like I smell it.
Yeah, people have been counting down the Splinter Cell reveal for every E3 in the past like 5 years. Like people even put in like fake like store codes for Splinter Cell like 1 year at E3 like a week before. So people were like, are we closing in? So this is weird.
Well, if 2 weeks, like 2 weeks from now we get more whoopsie news from Ubisoft, it'll explain why maybe they just randomly announced this.
They're like, and allegedly Yves ate a baby. It's like, what? I don't get it. Let's see. I only have a couple more things. DNF Duel has a beta this weekend. They just dropped that like after we did our last big thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, I went. Where are the last characters we covered? Well, there's 6 more of them now. In fact, one of them dropped while we recorded. We've got Ranger, we got Hitman. Then they did silhouettes, and all the silhouettes have now been fully exposed in that time, which are Dragon Knight, Vanguard, Kunoichi, and Crusader, which looks sick as shit. It's just a giant like D&D priest man.
Yeah, my first thought was like, this is when you pick the fucking cleric in like the Dungeons and Dragons beat 'em up.
Yeah, every this is the first time where they showed every character in a fighting game, and I'm like, I'll play all of them. I'll try all of these because all of them look really cool.
I was also happy to see more locations in these trailers because every one of the first 5 trailers was the same stage, which was worrying.
Yes. But yeah, a lot of these characters look insane, and I'm like, wow, they're going in really hard.
This game is gonna come out in like February,
probably.
Yeah, it's got to have to. I'm very excited that by the time this comes out, I'll at least know what the UI looks like. Oh yeah, and the last piece of news because they're doing in advance of some sort of streaming event. Stranger Paradise got some additional details. They showed some like extra characters and stuff because Famitsu did a thing. We have a 5th party member, Sophia. They showed the leader of the Dark Elves in this, which I'm like, oh yeah, there is a quest in FF1 where you do a thing for a dark elf.
Yes.
Yeah. Where he's like, can you please give me this thing? And it's tied to like the wind part of this game. And they show Tiamat, which is the main boss of the wind crystal in FF1. In this one, he like talks and he looks like super FF13 techno in this.
Yeah, I actually really like, because something that's kind of cut from every version of Final Fantasy 1 after the NES one was the idea that there's just a spaceship.
Yeah, because that really is the floating like temple section or whatever, and they've kind of just like fully realized that is like sci-fi ship stuff with that general like FF13 palette. Playing through Final Fantasy 1 like twice in the past like year has allowed me to appreciate this a little bit more, where I'm like, oh, okay, get to see a lot of this stuff like realized and seeing like what takes they're gonna do on some of that stuff. But we'll get more information on Stranger of Paradise. I think it's next week, where they're celebrating the birthday of the entire franchise by showing off more info on this. But that's it for all of my news.
Okay, we're gonna jump over to Feel.
They announced, the director of Saga said that there's a new Saga game coming, but he'll be able to announce it in 2022.
The way they described it, where they're like, a new Saga package.
Yeah, it was like Saga Collective
it
title?
It was like the most Japanese way to say a thing that I'm like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, Saga package title. And I was like, what?
Okay.
I don't know what it means, but whatever. Fucking sell it.
Does that come with or without the extra taco?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get a Baja Blast?
I really want one.
Please. This is important.
And don't replace it with the Sima twist. That's not acceptable.
And in Japan, the Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki 2 Crimson Sin was announced for fall 2022, and I wasn't even going to talk about this, but then they upset me. So they put out a fucking press statement which I have to assume was from Western reaction to this announcement, because everybody's reaction was the exact same. It was, wow, I can't wait to play this in 2027.
Yeah.
Because they will now be 5 games behind because they put 2 games
only
that are
3 real games.
Yeah, I know. They're 3 games behind, but 2 games from forever ago that they've already lapped in terms of plot releases, they have now put in the front.
That they want to they want to release those 2 PSP ports separately for $50 a piece. They're not dubbing them.
Yes.
What idiots.
Yes.
They're insane. They're fucking. But Falcom puts out this fucking statement like, we're aware that Western fans are not happy with the release schedule, and we're unhappy too. And I'm like, then fix it.
Yeah,
there are people like, well, our team can't handle that many games. Hire more people. This isn't like we can't build a new team. Most of your people working on this shit are freelancers. You can find more to do the other games or work on the other games with fucking supervision or do something. You're just like, man who won't do something. We care about this too.
It's so fucked. Like they just released the first game in this like new story arc in a completely new region. That's not even announced for the West yet because we're so far back.
And that's in the first one in the new engine, the one that is going to look acceptable. They should put in front of people because they'll get people excited.
The one in the new engine. It's not even announced for here yet. They just announced 2 and already said like the month that's coming out.
Every other company, I compared on Twitter, I compared it to the netcode thing where it's like, no, it's too far now. When like 20% of people had rollback netcode, you could still fight it a little bit. You're still wrong, but it's not embarrassing. But like we're at the point now where Shin Megami Tensei 5, Lost Judgment, visual novels are starting to get simultaneous worldwide release. Like Nintendo learned, and they were also one of the worst, where it's just like, guys, you're standing alone here. You are the only and Nisa too. I'm fucking aiming at them also, where it's like, you can't do this anymore. Like you have to, as a fan of this series, like, you know what's a great, Nisa can't help but cluck about how successful these releases have been. The 3 that they've been in charge, the 4 that they've been in charge of, the 2 East games and the 2 Trails games. You know what's a good way to kill the momentum of something? It being gone for 3 years.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And no, ports of PSP games don't count as being here. If you ask me, you should have skipped them.
Yeah.
Or put them as such a low priority that it's like you drop them randomly one day.
Right. Like those are not flagship releases. You can't pretend they are.
Despite them being these important moments in the timeline of that game series, and it's like we need time to work on them. Again, the problem here is that they bought the scripts from people that already finished them already. But
not only that, you've already released games where you go to those places and those characters from there hang out.
Yeah,
it's like you can't even use the excuse of we want to get this done before this because you already did it.
I assume they're going to make some changes even to the scripts they bought, change some names around.
Of course.
Make it SDD.
Yeah, but the funniest part about this, Dan, is when the translation group that made these fan translations that released, and the second one was out for like a week before it immediately disappeared when they bought it. They said, we gave Nisa that script and everything in the PS4 exclusive version in Japan. We also translated that for them. So, like, even the new content that they didn't have in the PC version they were building off of, they just did that for them, too. So, it's just like...
Yeah, so and they're not dubbing this. So, it's like, why is one of these releasing late 2022, like 18 months, or even longer after you announced it, and the other one even later? What is going on? It's like, it makes no fucking sense.
The fact that they're not dubbing it is probably one of the worst parts, where it's like, you're waiting so long for something that looks worse, that plays worse, and is lacking the features of the other ones.
If you care about it, you've already probably played it with the patch. Like, if you care that much...
To play a PSP game in 2022, yeah.
In 2022, with this franchise, if you care about not missing that fucking story, because I know a lot of people who just didn't care and played Cold Steel 3 and 4. I did. It's like, no, you're like, you will not. Like, people have the internet now. They know.
This is crazy, too, because Nippon Ichi did a fast turnaround on Disgaea 6 earlier this year. That was like 3 months.
It was 5 months.
Okay, it was 5 months. That was
With-
with no
which is a-
script
which was-
handed to them.
No
if it was,
script handed on that
if it
one.
was 5 months, and they dubbed it.
Yeah,
and
they
if it was
dubbed it
5
too.
months,
They already have a dub
and then
patch
they-
for these characters, Bob, because they were in Gold Steel,
Yeah.
so it's even worse.
and then they had enough time to ruin it by not doing the PS4 version. It's like, I don't know, something's on fire somewhere, like either at NISA or at Falcom, and I'm starting to. I don't know. I think it's probably both. The more I think about it.
honestly,
Like,
because
it's
Falcom's filled with boomers.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I hope, what I fucking hope is that Falcom gave them this dumb boomer release schedule where it's like, no, our games need time to breathe, and you gotta make sure you get this part of the story out first, and they can't be bundled together. And now they're like the one person who speaks English came back from vacation and is like, yeah, everybody's fucking telling us that they're going to stop playing our franchise, and this seems like way out of touch. So they had to make this statement. So maybe they'll try to adjust it a little bit.
I'm
like, it's asinine to have 4 years between Trails of Reverie releasing in Japan when it's going to come out here. 4 fucking years. That's longer than I think any other localization other than the fucked up Inazuma 11 thing Level 5 did before immediately shutting down all their localization studios.
Yeah, this is really confusing, and it's not like the things they're putting in front are any better. Having played a chunk of one of them and all of the other one, they're basically the same quality, but no one could read them before, so they thought that they were better. But they're about the same. So there's that part. I'm just so tired that we're still doing this. I am so tired of Japanese company is stupid and doesn't know how to work directly with their partners across the globe to try and sync up releases, that we still have to wait forever. I was already annoyed about it.
This is even worse than that. Like, if it was just a year, I could swallow my bile. But like I said, 4. That's a presidential. I might not be alive when this game comes out.
Entirely possible, yes.
So, like, what the fuck is, like, and if you're and I know like that, I know people who translate games who listen to our podcast. Like, if you work on this in any capacity, I know it's not you. Like, you don't have any say in this. This is somebody up higher up in the chain. So I'm not ragging on you.
Yeah, I just want
and I'm sure you're probably pissed too.
I want you to have coworkers. I don't want you to.
Yes, I would like them to update their system of, we put one translator and one editor on this game and we just leave them alone for 3 years. Like, you have to change. And you can't say that's not possible when NISA loved gloating about how much these things sold under them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What should have happened is they double that team size at least. They're only working on those new ones, and they farm those other 2 out to a smaller back burner like team that's only doing these.
That is what I would have done. And you can't even tell me that there aren't people you could hire, because fucking mangagamer.net has people doing good work, translating every fucking visual novel you ever heard of for poverty wages. It's like, you can't. Either one, you're even worse to work for, or two, you're not even trying. And both of those are either one, whichever one it is, fix it.
Right.
This shit was beyond too old 5 years ago, so the fact that it's still happening, I'm like, fuck you. Just make it work.
I need to find out when it was. I think it was 8 years ago, where Namco Bandai was like, yes, it was 8 years ago. It was October 2020. It was October 2013, where the Tales team at fucking Namco Bandai said, we'd love to localize all these Tales games, but we don't have the staff. And back then, fucking Pat Staresat said completely straight-faced, that's fucking stupid. Hire more people.
I remember that. It was the most maddening thing where it's like, we have to beg to get mainline JRPGs over here? Like, done on time?
Yes.
At all?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we just skip it. Oh, well.
This shit's rough, all right?
Hey, Bob.
Hey.
You got our last bit of news here.
Yep.
I guess go.
All right.
You
we had Granblue Relink reemerged after a while.
It revealed itself.
It's not it's not potato mode anymore.
Right. They have their new graphics engine to make their anime art style they've been wanting to show off, and this is the first time they can. So the game does look a lot better now. It already looks pretty good, honestly. But now they can do like facial expressions in the style. It's real neat.
Wow.
They explained the structure of the game. It has single-player story missions. They're like actually a fully developed single-player story, and then a multiplayer quest you can go on with up to 4 people, or you can do them single-player as well if you don't want to. If you don't want to have to go find people online. So I'm just like, man, this sure sounds a lot like Babylon's Fall, but probably good.
But probably, structured in a way that makes sense.
Yeah,
and understands what people want.
Do
you think Babylon's Fall is just like the corpse of what they had been working on? Because nothing Platinum made of this is in this game.
Right, that's what we've been theorizing for quite a while now. It's just the runoff that's left over.
Yeah,
which is really sad. God, looking at these two games next to each other, it's like the most bland game you've ever seen. Then this thing that looks like anime moving.
I know, it's insane.
They announced 2 new characters. We're getting Charlotta, the tiny girl with the giant sword.
The one that's a gorilla.
Yes.
Thank fucking God.
And Yodarha, which I did not look up. I don't remember what they look like.
Oh, he's another what are they fucking called? They're called Harvin.
Oh,
in Granblue.
The little thing.
So they're the little dwarf. They're the Granblue fantasy version of like
Lalafell.
Gnomes or Lalafels, yes. So he has like a big mustache and like uses 2 swords.
Yeah, I've seen that guy.
Yeah. They also announced a PC version. This is on top of the already announced PS4 and PS5 versions. So
wow,
they're coming out in 2022. They're like, look forward to more information next event. And they had the name for whatever the Granblue event is, but the Granblue event, so I have no idea when that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad that they were able to show up here so they can walk their way into our most anticipated game of the year thing.
If you've never watched a Granblue event, they're like 5% talking about the upcoming projects and like 95% the voice actors asking the writers to make their characters kiss or whatever. And then everybody laughs because it's like a Japanese variety show.
Even this thing, I watched it live. It is a variety show where they're all set up in bleachers, kind of like you expect in the old school like 90s call in for our telemarketer marathon or whatever. It felt a lot like that. It felt like that episode of Excel Saga where they're doing game show.
Ding, 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 ding.
And then they apparently transition over to stage play at some point. Very strange. They also had some Granblue Versus news. We covered most of it already with the 2 new characters just dropping at random this week.
Yeah.
And then they're doing that big poll. And they announced a new pricing structure for the game itself. So Versus is now $20 for just the game as it released a few years ago. With not like DLC, or $50 for the game and all the DLC, including the DLC that came out this week.
Here's a new price. The price of me buying this game is you making a PS5 version.
Yes. they said they are updating it more in the coming months to add things to see how bad ping is. I was like, that's not the problem. You need to maybe work on some other part of this. Because looking at how bad the thing is not helping me.
Well, I will buy that legendary edition when they fix the netcode and also fix the loading.
Dude, fucking, I'm sitting here and you're telling me this shit about we've added a way to determine how bad the ping is. Has a real like that one police cop movie with fucking the series with Leslie Nielsen where he's like, ma'am, I'm sorry to come at such a bad time. We would have come sooner, but your husband wasn't dead yet.
They're like, in a new update to help you with the netcode, we'll show you the bars. The bars lie, by the way.
Don't worry. Your house is on fire. We got a thermometer.
Yeah. We replaced the bars with a little thing that says it's always bad. It's rollback neck. I mean, it's a
delay-based netcode. Yeah.
Yes. God.
Don't you have friends?
It's sad. I did play a decent bit of this when I went back to it. I was like, this game is still fun. I think it's one of the more fun like ways to strip down a fighting game.
Yeah.
It feels almost like their take on a Street Fighter instead of their more anime game.
Yeah.
Origins. So I'd love to see this game load well and have netcode instead of the lack thereof right now.
Yes, that would be fan-fucking-tastic.
Then we did the Nintendo Indie World. I'm going to go through some of these really quick.
Yeah, sure.
There's a ton of just stuff. We got a date for Sea of Stars. It's coming out next holiday, 2022. That's the next game from the guys who did The Messenger. They did a Kickstarter for that.
Yeah, I put some money into that one.
Yeah, it's like their take on Chrono Trigger. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Something new that was announced here is Alicia, which is a Switch game where it's a 2-player adventure puzzle game where it's all in 3D. One person plays using motion controls on a console docked Switch. The other person plays on a portable Switch using touch controls. I'm very curious as to how this works. It really wasn't clear. It's all... they do not give you a good cut of like.
They showed a trailer for this game. It was unclear what they were trying to do.
I was scared,
but it looked neat. I'm excited. I was like, maybe it's gonna be like Zack and Wiki and really surprise me. Who knows? Then we show off Locomotive, which is a point-and-click murder mystery game with pixel art. Clearly very inspired by like Day of the Tentacle, that era.
Okay. LucasArts stuff, yeah.
Yeah, LucasArts stuff.
Okay.
It's like a murder mystery started on a train. That's why it's called Locomotive.
Ooh.
Trying to figure out the motives.
Oh, here I thought it was just tapping into that Xbox One launch title energy.
Loco Cycle?
Yes.
Hell yeah, let's go.
No.
Okay.
After Love EP was announced.
Okay.
It's coming in summer 22. This is an indie music love story about accepting loss.
Okay, next.
Yeah. Dungeon Munchies came out.
Oh.
It's a side-scrolling like dungeon crawler game where you like kill monsters and collect pieces from them and cook them into food and also into weapons. So you have weird weapons made of monsters and you get powers like you ate something. So now you have bug wings.
Oh, this sounds awesome.
Plays a zombie. It looked kind of rough, but it's got a neat idea.
Oh, yeah. I see it has a real Terraria look to it with the man face direction done.
Yes.
But it seems really neat.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would ever eat a fried mosquito like he just did in this video, but...
And then they talked about Figment 2, Creed Valley. I assume that it's about listening to a Creed album while you're in a valley. I'm not sure.
Probably.
They said it was a music-based Zelda puzzle game, so, you know.
It's about kids who live in the valley and listening to Creed.
Let's Play Oink. It's another game that's out now. It's a collection of board games no one has ever heard of. They might be made up for this.
Yes, they're made up for this. I'm pretty sure they're made up for this.
They made it sound like there was a physical counterpart, and I was like, are you sure?
Yeah, they keep showing physical counterparts, too, and I'm like, did you make this for demonstrative purposes?
Is this a trick?
Maybe they're like Kickstarter things?
I'm just gonna put Dungeon Munchies image in here for no reason. Just felt like there's a certain energy to this game.
Yes. Yes, there is certainly a certain energy to that game. Then they talked about Endling. Extinction is Forever. It's a very sad Fox game about how humans bad. End world.
Okay, but are there witches and do you farm?
No.
Okay, move on.
We got to see more of Ollie Ollie World. That game looks great. Comes out February 8th.
Awesome. I'm going to buy it on not the Switch.
Yeah, obviously. Why would you do anything else?
This is the Vita version of Ollie Ollie 2 and 1 ran fine, but I feel like at this point I'm pushing it.
Yeah, now they're using 3D graphics. I really don't trust that for the Switch.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, Is that confirmed to come to anything else?
I'm pretty sure it's on everything, but I didn't double check it.
I'll double check that real quick while you move on.
River City Girls 2 got a trailer, and we're getting the release date for the summer 2022. It now has online co-op. They show off a bunch of air combo stuff. Yes, yeah, it's very good that they're actually adding that.
Yes, that's important.
They were like, yeah, we've heard people want this. So it has all the old characters playable. It sounds like the Ricky and what's the other one? The main Kunio are both playable in the main story this time. So it's not just like, wow, you made a huge moveset for these characters that have literally nothing to do. That's weird.
Now. Way forward. I'm gonna need you to make Mommy and Hasebe playable. I'm gonna need you to do that for me.
I knew it was gonna be this.
Right.
And then I will give you money. I'll probably give you money anyway, but I'll be bitter about it.
Feel you're so
So
smart.
if you don't want me to be bitter, I need you to make those two characters playable.
That's correct.
Watch they get killed in the beginning of this game or something.
Holy
insane.
shit.
That would be really funny.
But yeah, I would not be surprised if they were like after you beat the game, here's some ridiculous moveset we made.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do, but it's cool.
I have confirmed Ollie Ollie World
Yeah.
coming to PS4, PS5 at very least. That's
Great.
what Searching It Up told me.
Then they went like a big sizzle reel. The only game that really caught my eye in it is Parkosaurus.
That name's pretty good.
Holy fucking shit.
So you're making a park for dinosaurs, much like a roller coaster tycoon. It has a very cartoony art style.
Wait, back this up.
What's up?
Is it a park for dinosaurs as in Jurassic Park where there are dinosaurs in it?
Yes.
Or am I... Okay.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like a little Triceratops getting in the coaster.
Yeah, I'm like, am I making a theme park for dinosaurs?
That would be pretty funny. But yeah, it has this neat looking cartoon style. They cut the trailer away in a really good way where it's like you have a short fence and a bunch of huge crowd and a T-Rex running at that short fence. I was like, and they cut it away right as he gets to him. Like that's going to be great, isn't it?
I need to find out what happens.
Yes.
And then they acted like, oh, that's everything. But we have one more thing. This is our big reveal.
Ooh.
Omori. It's an indie game I've never heard of before. Apparently it came out on Switch or on Steam last year.
Yeah, it came out at the end of last year on Steam.
I have no idea if this is a big deal or not.
Which is why I was very confused when it was like, hey, check this out.
It's not a new edition either. So I was like, is this some indie darling? Is this some ancient thing like Moon that no one would expect?
And then it's no, it's something that came out last year.
Okay. If you think that's cool enough to add on, I would have added on like maybe any of the other ones, honestly.
I'm looking at this. It's made in an RPG Maker.
Okay.
Its Metacritic seems fine. It's 87 out of 100.
Oh yeah, Amori is like one of those things that I know a lot of people who scream about it because it's one of those things where it's like, I can't talk about it, but it emotionally devastated me.
Which I'm into. Oh, okay.
But that's it. That's all for Indie World. And that's everything for my news.
Neat. It seemed like there were a fair share of things to be interested in that. It wasn't a bottomless pit like some events.
Yeah.
It wasn't all about farming and being depression and possibly being a furry while being a depressed farmer.
And a witch.
Yeah, there was only one or two of those games that really felt like that tier in there.
Well, that's cool. That's it for Big Think this week. Me and Bob, we're playing Matrix games.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, we're excited to enter the Matrix and follow the path of Neo.
Let's fucking go. The real Matrix 2 and 3.
God.
No, it's great. I'm excited to spend some time with Niobe.
And then you can go through the that Unreal 5 thing right after finishing one of them and be like, look how technology has advanced.
It's advanced so much, and the frame rate has decreased so much.
God.
Is that in the Matrix? Is it uncapped 60? Just to be clear.
Okay.
It just, if it runs well, it runs well. Hey, KZ, what do you got going on in the next week?
During this next week, I'll be recording a spoiler cast with Feel for Endwalker. That'll come out as soon as it's finished editing. I'll just pass it over to Dan, and then that's his bridge to bear through the powerful YouTube uploading system. Aside from that, I don't really have anything that I know of planned because everything's on fire in my life.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a cool fire.
Feel?
Yeah, everything's on fire here, but I will play Halo Infinite.
Glad to hear it.
And also possibly Psychonauts 2, so I'll probably be able to talk about Psychonauts 2 next week.
Ooh,
that'll be neat.
Maybe I should slam that real quick too, so that way we can both be like, hey, we played that game.
I was thinking
Have you played Psychonauts 1?
Look, man.
Of course not.
I'm running out of time.
I like thinking about the scenario where you talk about Halo Infinite, Dan, then I do, then the next week it's Bob, then the next week it's Feel.
No, luckily, they don't get a whole month of Big Thing. Next week gets to be both Feel and Bob.
Right.
Oh,
Thank God. Jesus. I'm just excited I said everything I have to say. Okay, well, I hope Bob tomorrow from this recording and Feel whatever really enjoy Halo Infinite.
Nice counterbalance.
I'm excited to play Enter the Matrix.
If nothing else, I can't imagine me liking it less than Killzone Shadowfall. So that's something.
There you go.
Think positively.
Yeah. We're gonna go now.
Okay.
Goodbye.
All right.
Goodbye.
You can sleep now, gamers.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Big Think Dimension. If you would like to support us, head on over to www.patreon.com/gbpodcast, where you can get extra podcasts and early access to our anime podcast, Chugging Bleach and Mondo Cool. Head on over there and become a $5 backer or podlord today. The executive producers for this month of GigaBoots are Esme, E. Lee Broyles, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, Live Action Muito Real, Completely Normal Adam, Cooper Tank, Zilter, and Virvarm. Thank you very much to our executive producers, and also these patrons. If you want to become an executive producer for an obscure but powerful YouTube channel, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.